On Fizzy Farm, we've made it our aim to live our best life by being unabashedly thirsty, in the literal and figurative sense. Who says you can't have a beer for breakfast? Why settle for one bachelor or bachelorette when you can have them all? In the end, only true perfection can quench our thirst for good. Also, I have a real-life goal to learn how to say "one beer please" in as many languages as possible, which I worked on during the making of these 323 days. The 1.6 update just released and the community is freaking out, me included. But if you're looking for Stardew Valley content to have on in the background while playing without fear of spoilers, you've come to the right place. Obviously, I've already started recording my next playthrough, and if you think you might want to see it, don't forget to subscribe. Lastly, you'll find the links to the mods in the description, just like always. Alright y'all, our glasses are raised, our spirits high, let the thirstiness commence. While clearing a little spot for my seeds, I got a first look at my cool new modded farm with this awesome view of the mountains. The rest of day one was pretty average. After making a chest, I headed to the general store and said hi to one of my favorite NPCs of this playthrough, the saloon owner, Gus. I gave Caroline a daffodil, bought a green bean, and took a look at Pierre's expanded stock with new forageables and trees from one of the mods I'm using to be able to make more drinks. Then I checked out the bachelors and bachelorettes and could tell that we would be fast friends very soon. I found one of the new forageables, a forest chamomile, and was relieved to realize I wouldn't have to buy them all from Pierre. Got my first level up in foraging that night. After watering my crops on day 2, I found more new forageables, pelican mint and cherry blossom petals, then met Willie, who was back from his fishing trip and gifted me his old fishing rod. I was thankful, but bought the training rod, to be able to get my fishing level up more quickly, since it's easier to get perfect catches with. I got the first copper ores in a treasure chest, so I knew I would have to see Clint outside my door tomorrow morning, who I had avoided up until now. After selling all of my fish to Willie before 5 p.m. rolled around, I went through town and said hi to more people. Ooh, why yes, Alex, I'm sure I'll find a bikini somewhere. Shane doesn't know it yet, but we'll be best friends. I found wild strawberries on the bushes and fished a bit more before heading home to sell everything I owned to be able to afford the fiberglass rod tomorrow. Got levels 1 and 2 fishing. Jump scare in 3, 2, 1. Day 3 was of course rainy, so I chopped more wood for another chest, and on my way to Willie to buy the rod, I found wheatberry mushrooms and lemon thyme at the bus stop. Hey Shane. Fine, be that way. I found glass shards in the stick spot, and when Mara refused to come out of her room to talk to me, I went to chat up the sisters. Hello ladies, care for a flower? Then it was time to fish for catfish at the river. It went really poorly for quite a while, but I did get lucky and fished up a chest with an ancient seed. Yay for me! By midnight, I had caught 2 catfish, then left to go look for more forageables, including a petite lemon and a forest lavender. Level 3 fishing. On day 4, I handed in the ancient seed to Gunther and got my plantable reward, but won't put it in the ground until I get a scarecrow. I took a look at who I still hadn't met yet and tried to find all of them, but Marnie and Vincent evaded me. Then I fished at the lake until my pockets were full and did some more foraging, once again finding something new, a marshmallow. I don't know if I'll need all of these forageables for drinks, but I can't wait to find out. That night, I got level 4 fishing and level 2 foraging. Marnie was standing outside my door on day 5 and told me this precious animal was looking for a home. So I took her in and named her Cosmo, like a good old cosmopolitan. Surprise! You get drink recipes from me, a former barista and bartender IRL. Please remember to drink responsibly. The day got even better when I saw my first parsnips were ready. The traveling cart lady wasn't selling anything outstanding, so I left to go find Marnie and Vincent. Once I found them, I headed to the now accessible mines, plunked down a chest and made it down to level 15, finding lots of copper and a magnet ring along the way before hurrying to the busy saloon on this Friday evening. The first party poopers were already leaving when I got there. Hey Gus, 1 beer please. There will be lots of gifting in this playthrough, so I won't mention it all the time, but know I'm doing my best to woo anyone I can. I couldn't afford a drink for myself, but I sat at the bar for a bit, knowing I would open one of my own someday. I said goodnight to Cosmo and got level 1 farming and level 1 mining. It was finally time to plant the ancient seed on day 6, and I made a scarecrow to keep it safe and sound. After watering everything, I fished at the lake for most of the day. Abigail was obviously playing hard to get when she showed off her impressive flute skills but refused to talk to me. Once I got bored of fishing, I just walked around town, rummaging through trash cans and picking up any forageables I could find. I hit level 5 fishing and chose the Fisher perk. Louis got a parsnip for his birthday on day 7. After selling most of my crops to Pierre, I bought enough parsnip seeds to have 400G left over, which just happens to be the amount you need for a beer at the saloon. The traveling cart disappointed me again, so I just foraged for a bit, finding a petite lime and some spring onions. Una birra per favoricas. Hey Shane, look what I have. I spent the rest of the night chopping trees and scything fiber on the farm, which netted me 12 more mixed seeds to add to my little field of crops. I had reached level 3 foraging, which meant I could now make tappers. Tappers are great because they give you oak resin, which you need to craft kegs to make booze. It was raining on day 8, so of course I had to go fish for catfish at the river. My haul wasn't too shabby, and when I used up my last piece of bait, I just looked for more forageables. I'll admit, all of these new things added by the mod are giving me an advantage to quickly up my foraging level, but of course that also means there are many more things I'll have to cook and ship for perfection, so I think it's a fair trade-off. Plus, it won't necessarily give me a monetary gain, since I don't want to sell them, just in case they're important for any drinks in the future. That night, I got level 6 fishing and level 4 foraging. When I was making my way downtown on day 9, the mayor showed me the derelict community center. I'm sure we can get this fixed up, Louis. Do you think we can build a bar in here? I made sure to take a look at the scroll in the foreign language before I left to hand out some daffodils. What's kickin' chicken? What's cooking it lickin'? Hey Penny, check out my fishing skills. Not bad, right? The mountain view on my farm does not get old, and after chopping some trees on my farm, I enjoyed a nice beverage overlooking the valley, before heading to the lake to fish for the night. Hey Sebastian, check out my fishing skills. Not bad, right? The wizard sent me a letter inviting me to come see him on day 10, so after watering my crops and planting some rice shoots I had gotten while fishing, I paid him a visit and was 3 sheets to the wind on his potion. What kind of moonshine did you put in this, Rasmodius? Vincent got a wild strawberry for his birthday, then I donated all of the forageables to the community center. I remixed the bundles, but was disappointed to see I didn't get the brewer's bundle. Oh well, less drinks I have to share with others. I spent the rest of this lucky day in the mines and got a wood club on level 20, since I've remixed the mine rewards as well. A nice upgrade from my rusty sword. Level 2 mining and level 1 combat. All of the parsnips were ready to be picked on day 11, and after watering the rest of the growing crops, I went straight back to the mines. Thanks to the very pleased spirits, there were plenty of ore nodes, and I crafted my first furnace to start smelting some bars. The dark floors were also a breeze, considering I didn't have a glow ring yet. Every gem I found was bringing me one step closer to gaining Abigail's and Emily's affection, and in the end, I passed out on level 44. Level 2 farming and level 3 mining today. Tomorrow I'll need lots of money for strawberry seeds at the egg hunt. So after crafting a second furnace and watering my crops, I shipped most of the fish and parsnips I had, brought a few knickknacks to the community center, then sold more fish to Willie and repaired the bridge on the beach to get access to the forageables. I also had some donations for the museum, getting cauliflower seeds as a thank you from Gunther. The traveling cart lady was selling spangles, and I couldn't resist buying one for Caroline. Salut Gus, une bière s'il vous plaît. He was also selling a salmon dinner, one of the very few things Alex loves, so I bought one. Here, Shane, don't be such a grouch. I also bought 2 Joja Colas, one for Sam and one for me. I'm a frugal drinker at the moment. I was able to harvest some potatoes and cauliflowers on day 13, then prep my farmland for strawberries, making sure to leave some room for future sprinklers. At the Egg Hunt Festival, I had 7,500 G to spend on 75 strawberry seeds. Then I made my rounds, talking to everyone to get my friendships up. Hey Louis, do you think we can incorporate eggnog into this get-together next year? After winning the egg hunt and putting on my shiny new straw hat, I quickly handed in a cauliflower to the community center, finishing the spring crops bundle and getting 20 speed grows. Then I used them to fertilize my seeds, guaranteeing me a third harvest for 20 strawberries. It was raining on day 14. I used the bug meat from the mines to craft some bait, gave Caroline her favorite flower, then stood creepily outside Haley's door to give her a birthday daffodil. At some point, I decided to play it cool and sat down on the couch, but didn't have to wait much longer. Hey girl. Then it was time for more catfish fishing. I can't count the amount of times I was running after the bachelors and bachelorettes on this save file. Shane, you're always thirsty. That's why I like you. Got level 7 fishing that night and earned a nice chunk of change from my fishing haul. I watered my thirsty strawberries on day 15, then treated myself to a backpack upgrade, found cookies in Evelyn's trash can, and asked Clint to upgrade my axe to copper. Back in the mines, I was trying to get lots of ores and get down to the gold levels as quickly as possible, since you need iron, gold, and refined quartz to make quality sprinklers, which are unlocked at level 6 farming. There was a silver saber in the chest on level 50, which doesn't do nearly as much damage as the lead rod I had gotten from a special slime a few hours ago. But the slow swings were killing me, so I decided to switch to it. Passed out on level 54, reaching level 2 combat and level 4 mining. The rice was ready to be harvested on day 16, and since the spirits were very pleased, I headed straight for the mines again. Salmonberry season had started yesterday, so I was able to pick lots of them for energy on my way there. I immediately got my first dwarf scroll as a drop from a bat and found a glow ring in a crate. Floors 54 and 58 were both infested, which slowed my progress down quite a bit. And on level 59, I was so mesmerized by the huge amount of crates and barrels that I didn't realize how late it was getting and passed out right next to the ladder. Whoopsie. Level 3 combat. My axe was finished upgrading on day 17. After picking it up, I got Clint to open the few geodes I had and donated some gems and artifacts to Gunther. I had a copper, iron, and gold bar for the blacksmith's bundle, which unlocked the bulletin board. Unfortunately, there were lots of difficult bundles, including the red cabbage for the dye bundle and 3 apples for the fodder bundle. Then it was back to the mines. A special slime dropped a magnet ring for me, and I got an iron edge from the chest on level 60. Once I had reached floor 70, I tried to make it back to my bed, but passed out on my way there. Got level 4 combat. The 30 spring seeds from the community center were finally planted on day 18, and when I handed Caroline a daffodil, she was at 2 hearts. Of course, I raced to her tea room and watched one of the best cutscenes in the whole game. I don't even like tea, it just tastes like hot water to me, but this always makes it look amazing. I was loaded with gems from spelunking in the mines and completed the treasure hunter's bundle, unlocking the vault. Hey Haley, I lost my phone number, can I have yours? What's up, honey? Did the sun come out or did you just smile at me? Leah, I think I must be in a museum because you are truly a work of art. After taking advantage of this last day of salmonberry season, it was back to the saloon. Moin Gus, 2 Bier bitte. 1 for the birthday girl Pam and 1 for Shane, just because he's a cutie. Caroline had sent me her wonderful tea sapling recipe on day 19. 4 more cauliflowers were fully grown, and after replacing them with mixed seeds and watering everything, I decided to clean up my farm for a bit. Look at this cool feature of the modded farm. It comes with its own little warp obelisk to get home quickly. It was a Friday, so you know I hit up the saloon. Hey Gus, ein Öltag. This is for you, Shane. I even had enough gold to buy myself a nice cup of coffee and wanted to join Demetrius and Robin on the dance floor, but I immediately scared them off when I broke out my dance moves. I tried to play it off and continued to dance for a bit, but quickly sat down, because it was honestly kind of mortifying. On my way home, this onion popped out of a dig spot. I had reached level 3 farming as well as level 5 foraging, and chose the Gatherer perk. Day 20 was a lucky day, so after picking my first 20 strawberries and giving all of my crops a sip of water, I made a beeline for the mines. Once I had made it to level 80, where I found a pair of Firewalker boots in a chest, I took a quick break from my ore gathering to sell my old weapons and rings to Marlin, to be able to afford a birthday beer at the saloon for Shane, who was starting to warm up to me. I said hi to everybody, but didn't have time to stay, because I wanted to get on the gold grind. Unfortunately, I realized my regular pickaxe needed 8 swings to break gold nodes, so I decided to get the copper upgrade tomorrow. But I still stayed to harvest fiber for tea saplings and found 3 fire quartz. I got level 5 mining and went with the miner perk to get an extra ore per node. The rest of the strawberries were ready for harvest on day 21, which put me over the threshold to level 5 farming. I made sure to keep the gold quality ones for gifts for Maru, then crafted my first 10 tea saplings. After another fruitless traveling cart visit, I found this pretty meringue mushroom and handed in a fire quartz to the community center, finishing the boiler room. Clint cracked open my geodes and agreed to upgrade my pickaxe to copper, and Gunther was happy to get more donations for the museum and gave me some summer seeds as rewards. The rest of the day was spent fishing for eels and catfish. The Junimos repaired the minecarts, and I chose the tiller perk. Thanks to the strawberries and tea saplings I shipped, I was basically rich. Demetrius asked if he could do a science experiment on my farm on day 22. Of course, I said yes and asked for fruit bats. I was curious to see if they like to get drunk on fruit juice, which was kind of what I was planning on doing with their produce, but apparently they don't, at least not according to Wikipedia. But I did learn that they're slow at reproducing and some of them are threatened by extinction. I'm doing my part. Free love on Fizzy Farm. I crafted 2 more furnaces to up my metal bar output, then picked up this new forageable, wormwood, and realized that the bushes had cherry blossom petals you can pick. I asked Robin to build me a coop, finished the construction bundle at the community center, then continued to clear off more of my farm. There's this little spot in the bottom left that has hardwood stumps that respawn every day. Very handy. On day 23, I crafted 19 more tea saplings, then checked the mail and realized the flower dance was tomorrow. I refused to be shunned this year. Pierre bought my goods, and I reinvested the money into the final backpack upgrade. My copper pickaxe was ready, and I immediately asked for a steel axe upgrade. Then it was back to the mines. I found a bone sword in the chest on level 90, which was definitely much better than the iron edge I had been wielding, but it's pretty pathetic in comparison to the obsidian edge you normally get if you don't remix the mine rewards. I passed out at 2 AM without getting a level up. Youch, that means I'll barely have any energy tomorrow. More strawberries and cauliflowers were ready on day 24. Of course, I didn't finish watering everything before feeling exhausted, so I had to eat a few salmon berries to get the job done. Then, it was time to head to the biggest social event of the year, the flower dance. I bought the rare crow and tub of flowers recipe from Pierre, then put out my feelers to see if the bachelors and bachelorettes were digging me. Butter my butt and call me a biscuit, Shane agreed to dance with me. I practiced my dance moves with Haley, but I don't think it helped. But who cares? I actually had a dance partner for my very first year 1 flower dance.
Isn't that amazing?
Once I was back home, I used the little time left in the day to clear off my farm a bit more, and after picking up a single daffodil, I got level 6 foraging. On day 25, loads of strawberries and forageables were waiting to be picked. I smelted ores and quartz and crafted more spring seeds, which I turned into tea saplings to ship. This good luck day would be spent in the mines again. The enemies dropped lots of whole bars, even an iridium one, and I found a tempered broadsword in a barrel at the center of the spiral floor on level 99, which puts out more damage than the bone sword. When I got to level 100, I left the chest shut for the moment since there wasn't much time left in the day and I still had quite a bit of energy. In the end, I made it to level 105 before passing out. I got the coveted level 6 farming, as well as level 6 mining and level 5 combat that night, choosing the fighter perk. Day 26 was a great and very busy day. My new coop was ready, and much more importantly, the traveling cart lady was selling a very affordable red cabbage seed, just in time to plant it in summer. I went to Marnie to buy chickens, but unfortunately, Shane needed help first. Oops, I might have contributed to that. From now on, he only gets non-alcoholic beer from me. But for all the responsible drinkers out there, I named one chicken Lady, like the classic white lady. Chicken number 2 was called Milk, and chickens number 3 and 4 were named Cuba and Libre. Pro tip, don't skimp on the ice. It makes long drinks much more enjoyable, because they stay fizzier the colder they are. I went to Clint to pick up my steel axe and paid him to upgrade my hoe to copper, then gave Pierre a birthday green bean, not passing up the chance to hit on anyone I could find along the way. I put Robin to work again, this time on a barn, then tried out my new steel axe for a bit, getting rid of some of the big logs on the farm. I celebrated this very successful day at the saloon, getting Shane a nani beer, Leah a salad, and myself a coffee. As busy as day 26 was, day 27 was much more chill. I spent all day on the farm chopping trees, scything weeds, and getting rid of rocks. Don't ask me why I hadn't crafted sprinklers yet. I couldn't tell you. I went to the saloon again to hand out some gifts, including a birthday aquamarine for Emily. I also took a look around the secret woods, and sadly there were no morels, but there was this new forageable called Sweet Basil. Got level 7 foraging that night. The last day of spring was spent getting ready for summer. I crafted and shipped 20 more tea saplings, harvested my last round of strawberries, and finally crafted sprinklers. After saying hello to my deliciously thirst-quenching chicks, I picked up my copper hoe from Clint and said hi to all the pretty boys I saw. Hey Elliot, do you like Star Wars? 'Cause Yoda only one for me. Alex, if you were a taser on Star Trek, you'd be set to stun. The traveling cart lady was selling a coffee bean, a very important crop for my future endeavors, so I bought it and planted it right next to my ancient fruit. Other than that, I decided to set up a small tapper farm right here. Summer is a time for pina coladas and any other drinks with little umbrellas in them. To be able to afford that someday, I'd have to get rich, so I saved my dead crops, planted my precious red cabbage right next to my scarecrow, and set up another small crop area down here. Pierre sold me 3 pepper seeds, 3 tomato seeds, 24 hop starters, 3 corn seeds, a sunflower, spangle, and poppy, a couple of melons, and 164 blueberry seeds. After planting them all, I still had some open-tilled spots, so I put down some mixed seeds. The only other thing I did was put tappers on the trees at the bus stop. You can never have too much oak resin. On day 30, I marveled at my sprinklers, then pet my now fully grown chickens and picked up their first eggs. A new season brings new forageables to look for, and besides the vanilla ones, I also found the new ferngill tea leaf and cinder sap cilantro. The summer forageables bundle was quickly finished and rewarded me with 30 summer seeds. I spent the majority of the day in the mines looking for copper ores and smelted through all of it that evening. Making tappers really eats away at your copper reserves. While walking into town on day 31, I found a honey fungus mushroom and wild raspberries growing on the bushes. Clint opened my geodes and I was able to donate many new things to Gunther. Then I treated myself to a copper watering can upgrade. I took 10 eggs to the community center and handed them into the home cook bundle, and after commissioning a silo from Robin, I decided to get to the bottom of the mines today. There were some crystal shoes in the chest on level 110, and since I had drained quite a bit of my energy, I went to get the star drop on level 100. The taste reminded me of aspirin, any thirsty person's best friend. Made it to the bottom by the end of the night and passed out next to my mining chest. Level 7 mining. I started day 32 by crafting a few lightning rods, since I saw it would be storming tomorrow. The fruit bats had already been hard at work, and I crafted 4 mayo machines for my coop. I thought about crafting the brew station and cocktail bar, 2 of the new crafting recipes added by the mods I'm using, but decided against it for now, since I don't really have a lot to work with at the moment anyways. As you can see from the recipes, I'll need lots of stuff, so my thirstiness will have to be limited to the bachelors and bachelorettes for the next few weeks. And I was very happy to see that my advances were starting to pay off. Emily was already dreaming about me. Jazz got a birthday sweet pea, and I found this adorable milky white mushroom before buying a cow named Daiquiri from Marnie. I leveled up in combat when slaying a couple of slimes in the secret woods, and ended my day in the saloon, where I flirted with Shane in the only way I know how. Hoi Gus, ein Bier else to believed. On day 33, some random wheat that had sprouted from my mixed seeds was fully grown. I decided to fish for some of the community center fish and started with the wood skip in the secret woods, then picked up my copper watering can. I also found a red snapper in the ocean and tried to get a sturgeon at the lake, but it didn't bite. At least I pulled up this cool treasure chest with a strange doll and a diamond in it. The saloon was pretty empty despite it being a Friday, but it didn't stop me from having a drink with Harvey, Leah, and Emily. Cześć, Gus. Piwo po proże. That night, I got level 8 fishing. My first ancient fruit and hot peppers were ready to be picked on day 34. Harvey, I think there's something wrong with my eyes. I can't take them off of you. I bought 20 wheat seeds, then took some bits and bobs to the community center, completing the rare crops bundle with my ancient fruit. Hey Sebastian, is it hot outside today, or is that just you? I spent the rest of the day in the mines looking for iron ore and dust sprites. Progress was a bit slow, but I did get another coffee bean, which is always great. I've also installed a coffee mod that we haven't seen yet, because you get the recipes in the mail from getting more hearts with various villagers. After picking a few radishes that had sprouted from the mixed seeds and replacing them with wheat, I checked the traveling cart in vain. That was fine though, because it meant I had enough money to buy a milk pail and 2 more cows, Chardonnay and brandy. Then I spent the better part of the day fishing at the river to try to get a Dorado, but it just wouldn't take the bait. I abandoned that mission at some point to sell my stockpile of strawberries and fish and set up an oak resin farm at the railroad. This is always a crucial step in making as many kegs as possible. I passed out while putting down pathing, but I was as good as done. After petting my new cows on day 36, I got to do one of the best things of any playthrough. going to Robin's and paying her to build a horse stable. Thanks to all the strawberries I sold yesterday, I even had enough money left over to buy the iridium rod and a trap bobber. Then I fished at the ocean and caught a tilapia, a pufferfish, and a tuna, 3 fish needed for the community center, as well as the legendary crimson fish. I also got a super cucumber, my go-to ingredient for the first luau. I was able to finish the ocean bundle at the community center, and when I went to give everyone's favorite bartender a birthday orange, he told me the saloon wasn't doing well financially. I knew Pam would be just as worried as I was, and she willingly paid her tab. Then I spent the rest of the evening chopping more trees on my farm and got level 8 foraging. A few more crops were ready on day 37, including a sunflower needed for the community center. Daiquiri was fully grown and ready to be milked for the first time. I put some tree fertilizer on my mini tree farm, seeing that the first tappers were already full of oak resin. Then it was back to the mines for copper and iron, where I also got a second ancient seed, a third dwarf scroll, and another coffee bean. I reached level 7 farming and was so close to being able to make kegs. Day 38. The red cabbage and my first coffee plant were fully grown. I planted the second ancient seed and a few coffee beans, then found my new horse. His name will be Hugo, like a Hugo Spritz. I picked up a new mushroom in the backwoods called a chicken of the woods. Gross. Here, birthday girl, I bet you're twice as sweet as any birthday cake. I fished at the lake until I had a sturgeon in my pockets, then went to the community center to finish the lake fish and exotic foraging bundles. The first maple syrups were ready at the bus stop, then I spent the day smelting bars and clearing off more debris and trees on my farm. It's so funny how the color of the mountains abruptly changes. Level 9 fishing. Day 39 was luau time. This get-together is always important to get your friendship up with everyone, and even more so for me in this playthrough. The way to a person's heart is through their stomach. I did my usual sweet talking and added the super cucumber to the soup, which always works like a charm. The governor loved it, and I got the clicks achievement. You just wait, soon no one will be able to resist me. I got to see one of the most adorable faces outside my door on day 40. Gus taught me how to make jukeboxes, and I received a letter from Pierre telling me I could now buy bouquets. It's time to get more serious with some of the lovely ladies and lads of the valley. Emily also sent me a bolt of cloth, which is great for the artisan bundle. I was able to harvest quite a few veggies, including tomatoes and one of the best summer crops, hops. I put Gus' jukebox in my home, and although I play with the sound off, I turned on the Stardrop Saloon soundtrack. I bought a rare seed from the traveling cart lady, an ice cream from Alex, and asked Clint for a steel pickaxe upgrade. Pierre sold me an apple sapling, and while I was foraging some wild raspberries, I decided to go into the dark tunnel and put a battery into the lockbox. The saloon was packed, making it a perfect opportunity to hand out gifts and drink a nice coffee with friends and future heartbreaks. Another ancient fruit and lots of melons and more wheat were ready to be harvested on day 41. When I went to buy the path recipes from Robin, I felt like Demetrius could tell I might be a bit of a player. After handing in a few more random things to the community center, I swooned over Harvey's medical skills, gave Alex that salmon dinner I had bought weeks ago for his birthday, and gave him a shoulder to cry on while telling me about his daddy. I hope my intrigues won't send him spiraling in the future. It's not like I'm trying to be malicious, I just want to have a little fun, you know? The beach was full of forageables, including this new Fern Isle olive, but I just could not get my hands on a cockle, the last thing I could get to complete the crab pot bundle without actually having to buy crab pots. Other than that, I just fished for a bit for some extra income and crafted 10 more lightning rods for more chances at batteries. It was a very satisfying start to day 42. I was able to hand in 10 milks to the home cooks bundle since Cuba and Libre had also started lactating, and 2 of the blueberries were needed for the dye and summer crops bundles. I impressed Abigail with my gaming skills. Abby, you naughty little thing. Then sold my blueberries to Pierre and bought a bouquet and 30 more melon seeds. My pickaxe was finished upgrading, and I bought a second rare seed from the traveling cart and got Robin to upgrade my coop. Then it was back to more copper and iron hunting for those all-important tappers, as that night I reached level 8 farming and was finally able to make kegs. Emily came to my house on day 43 to tell me I could use her sewing machine, which brought up fond memories. Shane was shooting a commercial in town, and I felt some secondhand embarrassment while watching Clint fumble his lines. It's a good thing I don't have to worry about him as competition. He agreed to upgrade my pickaxe to gold, and I fished in the river until I got a Dorado. Obviously, Shane was in the saloon when he accepted my bouquet. We celebrated with a nice cold one. Again, he only gets naughties from me. Then I was itching to make the new crafting recipes the mods provide. I could only make the brew station and mocktail bar for now since I needed more hardwood. As you can see, the bars work like little kitchens with their own recipes, and I'll need to make the syrups, juices, and spirits with the brew station, which require lots of sugar, something I can't really afford right now. But someday. I made some cheese presses, as well as my first 4 kegs and 8 more tappers for my fully grown trees on day 44. It looks like I was so thirsty today that I chugged this Joja Cola instead of sharing it with Sam. Maybe he'll at least appreciate that I, too, enjoy me a nice cold drink. My small crafting session this morning inspired me to go buy a workbench from Robin when she was coming home from her weekly workout. I'll be going for a rustic aesthetic on Fizzy Farm, you know, like a cool old pub vibe, so I plan on using lots of wood and brick pathing. After putting some down, I set up a crafting station where I think I want it to go. It took me the rest of the night to move and organize all of the chests. On day 45, I kegged some coffee beans, took care of my farm chores, and planted some hardwood tree seeds. I'm gonna need as much hardwood as I can get. No, that's not a reference to my thirsty theme, just a literal fact. I picked up my gold pickaxe from Clint, then bought a pizza from the saloon, gifted it to the birthday boy Sam who was on his way to work, and finished the artisan bundle with a nice cheese. Then I went to Marnie and bought a duck that I named Screwdriver. If you know anything about a duck's anatomy, you know why. I was also able to get into her bedroom and picked up the mare's shorts. Here, Lewis, you sly dog. Surprisingly, I was low on stone, of all things, and needed a lot more to be able to get the next barn upgrade. So I went into the mines for the rest of the day. I saw dollar signs flash before my eyes when I came outside to my second blueberry harvest. I was planning on getting a barn upgrade with the stone from yesterday, but Robin wasn't home. So I made the snap decision to sell the blueberries to Pierre to purchase all of the vault bundles instead. Then I went back into the regular mines, collecting more stone and ores and hoping to find the last scroll I was missing, the green one, to be able to buy bombs from the dwarf. It didn't drop, unfortunately, but I set up the crystallarium I got from the community center with a jade and went to bed whilst the Junimos repaired the bus. Got level 9 farming, level 7 combat, and level 8 mining that night. My first self-brewed beers were ready on day 47. How satisfying. Now that I was at level 9 farming, I was able to craft a seed maker and turn my ancient fruits back into seeds to expand my crop. The traveling cart lady was selling a garlic, which was bought with the intention of turning it into a seed too, for Ginger Island. Pam drove me to the desert for the first time, where I picked up coconuts and cactus fruits. Sam and Haley are gonna love me faster than you can say gamophobia. And I found this weird-looking calico pistachio. I also fished for a sandfish and met Sandy, who works at the Oasis, where I bought some beet seeds for fall. It was a Friday, which meant I spent the evening handing out gifts at the saloon and enjoying a nice cup of joe. Haley asked me to open this jar for her, then I collected enough hardwood to be able to craft the cocktail bar. Soon I'll be a real mixologist. Thanks to my seed maker, I was able to plant 3 more ancient seeds on day 48, and I could try out my new brew station for the first time by putting 2 corns in, which is supposed to give you whiskey. Then I decided to attempt my first Skull Caverns run. I had a few diamonds, rubies, and quartz to trade for espressos, spicy eels, and bombs, but my inventory wasn't exactly ideal. Especially my weapon, the tempered broadsword, made progress very slow, since it took forever to kill any enemies. And I'm not gonna lie, this run wasn't anything to write home about. I had barely made it to level 42 before passing out and found about 2 whole iridium nodes. Oh well, at least I didn't die. Yay! My first whiskey was ready on day 49. The bachelors and bachelorettes just couldn't get enough of me, as you can see here. Sam asked me what kind of music his band should make and dropped an egg, which I took the blame for to make him happy. Emily and Haley were fighting until I played the referee, and Emily gave me a private dance. And Shane showed me his chicken project, meaning I would now have access to blue chickens. I took a quick break from being the center of everyone's attention to sell some stuff to Pierre, but then I was right back at it. Alex threw a football at me and was happy to hear me rooting for him in his sporty ambitions. I stumbled onto Sam and Vincent at the beach, who were worried about their dad fighting in the Gotoro Empire, and last but not least, Sebastian invited me to a future motorcycle ride. It's so nice when everyone is obsessed with you. Then I put 7 tappers on some fully grown oak trees up at the railroad and spent the rest of the day chopping trees in Cindersap Forest. Level 9 foraging. My only official boyfriend at the moment, Shane, invited me to a Tunnelers game on the morning of day 50. The day got even better when I opened a letter from Mr. Key, who had sent me 10,000 G in the mail, and I was able to harvest more blueberries. I was finally able to get a big barn upgrade from Robin, then handed out gifts while on my way into town to open geodes at Clint's and get a steel hoe upgrade. I was super excited to go to the game with Shane. Of course, not because I'm a big Gridball fan, but because this was where I would get my first smooch. Oh no, Alex is here too. Hopefully there's no kiss cam. Before heading to bed, I took a quick peek at my friendships. Normally, I'm just good friends with the old dudes at this point, but look at all the bachelors and bachelorettes at the top of my list. My goodness, I am so lovable. On day 51, I had another visitor, Leah, who gifted me a sculpture that showed her feelings about me. I honestly wouldn't mind always waking up to hot singles in my area waiting outside to give me gifts and take me on dates. I also received the coffee brewer recipe in the mail from Harvey, the machine I'll need to be able to make new coffee recipes. I checked, and once again, it requires more hardwood to make it. After doing all of my farm chores and having Abigail tell me I'm an interesting lady, is that code for salacious? I went into the mines to try to get the green dwarf scroll again. I even found an infested floor 61 I kept spamming, but no dice. Looking on the bright side, you could say I made pretty good progress on my Monster Slayer goals. Haley sent me these neat cacao pods on day 52, which I think I'll need for a coffee drink. Robin had finished upgrading the barn, so I immediately went to buy a goat and named her Sazerac. Here's another pro tip. If you use citrus peels for garnish, make sure to twist them right over your drink, so the essential oils coat the top of it and you get that nice scent every time you take a sip. Haley was distraught on the beach looking for her great-grandma's bracelet. I was her knight in shining armor when I found it for her and was rewarded with a little cuddle. After spending 3 hours fishing for an octopus that only bit once and escaped right away, I could at least call another ancient seed mine. Then I asked Robin for the final coop upgrade, picked up my steel hoe from Clint, and made the coffee brewer, although I'm not quite sure how it works yet. I couldn't identify any coffee recipes, but taking a look at my shipping tab, I assumed that these are all coffee bags and drinks. I did figure out that I can make tonic water with quartz. How exciting! Sebastian sent me some frozen tears to make cold brew on day 53, and Screwdriver had laid her first duck egg. After getting the next axe upgrade to gold, I caught the honorary legendary fish more commonly known as an octopus. Yeah, I bet my fishing tackle has worn out. That beast tore it up. Hey Leah, if you were a vegetable, you'd be a cute cumber. Haley, do you have a band-aid? I just scraped my knee falling for you. Alright y'all, guess how many green dwarf scrolls I found in the mines today? That's right, 0. Right before heading to bed, I found my finished tonic water. Looks like it can kill you. That's unfortunate. On day 54, I made a mayo machine for Screwdriver's eggs and 8 more kegs that I filled with hops. Then I bought a rabbit called Hanky Panky for my newly upgraded coop. I mean, can you think of a more fitting name for a rabbit? When I went to give Leah a present, I encouraged her to have an art show in town and overheard her talking to her unsupportive ex Kel. I get it, Leah. I'm not ready for this steady life either. Alex was feeling like an idiot, but I was able to cheer him up, and then I sold my blueberries to Pierre. I also learned something new about myself today. Apparently, I can play the mini harp. After buying some missing wood, I commissioned the final barn upgrade from Robin and finished off the successful day in the saloon with a nice cold beer. Got level 10 farming and obviously chose the artisan profession. Emily sent me a letter inviting me to her clothing therapy on day 55. That must mean she's at 8 hearts. The last round of melons were finished growing and I was able to turn another ancient fruit into 3 more seeds. Once I had finished my farm chores, I bought a bouquet from Pierre and felt kind of bad for a split second, since I'm normally never this promiscuous. But I handed it to Emily, making her my second significant other. Good gracious, I am so thirsty. Sorry, Clint, you're just no match for my irresistible charm. But thanks for upgrading my axe. I spent the rest of the day fishing, since I was pretty broke, and chopping trees because I was out of wood. Day 56 was the last day of summer, and I wanted to have as much money as possible for all of the new fall crops tomorrow. Of course, that meant more fishing. I was also low on copper, so I spent the last hours of the day in the mines until it was time for the dance of the Moonlight Jellies. I was just trying to say hi to Pierre when I accidentally bought this Moonlight Jellies banner. Oopsie. I hope Emily and Shane haven't been talking to each other. A gentleman never tells, right Shane? Watching the glowing jellyfish dance across the screen, I was looking forward to the next thirsty half of the year. There was an explosion that night, which could only mean one thing. A meteor had landed on my farm. Sazerac was fully grown and started giving me milk, and I found this adorable Grampleton walnut forageable at the bus stop on my way to Pierre to blow all of my money on seeds. My haul included a yam, an eggplant, 15 pumpkins, 8 amaranth, 88 cranberries, and 22 wheat seeds. This wasn't nearly enough to fill up all of the sprinkler spots, even after adding the pumpkin, beet, and rare seeds I had lying around. So after marveling at the beautiful wonders of our galaxy with Maru, I dove into the mines to farm fiber for tea saplings. I was able to craft and ship 11 of them, and would use the gold to buy more seeds tomorrow. Robin and Lewis unveiled the special orders board on day 58. I ignored that for now to buy 84 more pumpkin seeds. George was asking for an emerald on the Help Wanted board, and I happened to have one in my pockets because it was Penny's birthday. Spoiler alert, I'll forget to get another one for her. That will make gaining friendship with her much more difficult. I finished the Fall Forageables bundle with a hazelnut and got 30 fall seeds. Ironically, I had too many seeds now, so I crafted 4 more sprinklers to be able to plant all the pumpkins. Quite a few oak trees had grown in at the railroad, so I crafted as many more tappers as I could and added them to my growing farm. At the end of the day, I took a look at the special orders board and didn't really like either of the quests, so I didn't take them on. Day 59 was a very lucky rainy day. I was torn between getting the walleye, which only appears on rainy days, and going to the Skull Caverns. I decided on the desert since I really wanted a galaxy sword and needed more ores anyway. It'll rain again for sure. Before heading out, I asked Clint to upgrade my watering can to steel, then waited for Pam at the bus stop. My trip was definitely worth it. Although it still wasn't close to what I can normally achieve in the Skull Caverns, I finally found my first prismatic shard, and at right after 1 a.m., I left to go get the coveted galaxy sword. That night, Chardonnay gave birth to the newest Fizzy Farm animal, a baby cow named Glowtini, a cocktail straight out of Disneyland. Level 9 mining and level 8 combat. Hanky Panky lost her first foot on day 60. After getting Robin to build a well, I fished for a tiger trout and a salmon at the river. Hey Sam, no wonder you like Joja Cola. You're so delicious. Can we talk about what is up with cockles not showing up on the beach? I hadn't found a single one and resorted to using a crab pot. I was able to finish the Riverfish bundle in the community center and added the Rabbit's Foot to the Enchanter's bundle, then handed out some gifts, including a belated birthday emerald to Penny. There was this strange St. Cannoli almond lying on the ground in the secret woods, and right before heading to bed, I caught a midnight carp from the lake. Day 61 was a Friday and Elliot's birthday, so I wanted to make sure to find him at the saloon that evening. The wheat and first eggplant were fully grown and replaced with fall seeds, and after picking up my steel watering can, Clint opened all of the geodes I had collected in the Skull Caverns. Gunther happily accepted my donations to the museum, and seeing the incomplete dwarf scroll collection motivated me to look for the green one again. Using the galaxy sword was a true joy, and made everything so much quicker. When it finally dropped, I sped off to the saloon, but Elliot was nowhere to be found. Hola Gus, una cerveza por favor. I got hammered and sat at the bar thinking about my life choices before trying to find him at the beach. Of course, he wasn't there either, and to add insult to injury, there was still no stupid cockle. Sazerac gave birth to a baby goat I called Slammer, like an Alabama Slammer, one of my personal favorites. Gunther was so pleased with my efforts for his museum that he gifted me the key to the sewers on day 62. My first bottle of gin made from wheat was ready, and funnily enough, it's better for you than tonic water. Not in real life, of course. Hey Slammer, you are the most metal baby goat I've ever had. I handed in the dwarf scroll, getting the dwarvish translation guide, and found a shrimp in the crab pot, which meant I could finally complete the crab pot bundle in the community center. Thanks to some pale ale money from Pierre, I was able to afford over 1 full stack of wood from Robin and ask her to build a shed. According to Gil, I only needed to kill about 100 more dust sprites to get the burglar's ring. So down into the mines I went, getting not 1, not 2, but 3 green dwarf scrolls. How insulting. Day 63 was another wonderful day of waking up to a pretty person outside my door. This time it was Leah inviting me to her art show. The beets were fully grown and I planted some fall seeds in their stead. The traveling cart was selling 2 winter forageables I needed for the community center, and it might have been a bit unnecessary, but I bought them. Then Leah asked me to help her get an apple from the tree. The forbidden fruit, so to speak. This precious wild carrot popped out of a dig spot, and the cindersap sage was another new forageable I found, before heading to the art show. I wish it were an option to actually buy one of the sculptures. I would buy the eggheads for my speakeasy in a heartbeat. I tapped 8 more trees, then put a rainbow shell into the box at the railroad, and 10 beets into the mayor's fridge. I also handed 1 into the community center, as well as the 2 winter forageables and a wine, finishing the enchanter's bundle. Day 64 would turn out to be one of the thirstiest days yet. My first cranberries and amaranths were ready for the picking. I sold most of them to Pierre and reinvested the money into 100 wheat flour. After completing the home cooks, dye, and animal bundles, a train was passing through and dropped one of the rarer finds in the game, leprechaun shoes. Their stats are bad, but it's neat nonetheless. The complete breakfast I got from finishing the home cooks bundle inspired me to go on a gifting spree. Well, hello, Alex. I see you've forgotten to put on a shirt today. That's fine by me. Leah, Haley, and Sam were all at 8 hearts and accepted my bouquets. I think Jesus might need to take the wheel soon.
Isn't that amazing?
Oh, hi Shane. Long time no see. Also, Robin had finished building the shed, so I got to move the kegs into it. Sam visited me to invite me to his concert in Zuzu's City on day 65. Sounds fun, I'll see you there. Robin agreed to upgrade my shed, and since it was raining, I got to fish for the walleye and completed the whole fish tank. While I was at it, I decided to fish for fall's legendary fish, the angler. And after picking the wizard's prismatic jelly quest, it was off to the concert. It was slightly awkward since half of the concert goers were under the assumption that we were exclusive, but I just stood next to Penny to avoid any controversies. Once back in the valley, I said hi to Krobus, bought his recipes, and fished for the mutant carp in the sewers. I was super close to getting level 10 fishing, so I spent the rest of the evening fishing in the river. That night, the Junimos removed the glittering boulder and I chose the angler profession. The single yam I had planted was finished growing on day 66, which means I now only need a pumpkin to finish the pantry. Willie was flabbergasted about the missing boulder and gave me a copper pan to get the minerals out of sparkly water. Then I zoomed out and spent the whole day spamming floor 5 looking for the prismatic slime. It took quite a while, but I finally found it by 9:30 that evening. And while I stayed for a bit to collect more copper, I actually found an infested floor with a second one. Neato. After doing my farm chores on day 67, I crafted a sign and put my prismatic jelly on it before handing the real thing to the wizard. I want to have a little collection of all of these one-time items on signs for my speakeasy. The rest of the day was spent handing out gifts. Harvey, Sam's downstairs. I think he might need medical attention. But sure, finish your true crime podcast first. Penny asked me to help her clean up the trailer. Pam didn't like that idea, and honestly, I kind of get it. I would be mortified too. Maru, forget hydrogen. You're my number 1 element. Hey Abigail, are you an alien? Because you just abducted my heart. Today was also the day I decided to get rid of the meteor, since I just didn't think it would work with the aesthetic I was envisioning, and where I talked to the dwarf for the first time and bought their rare crow and weathered floor recipe. I was very excited to get the monster musk recipe in the mail on day 68. And in even better news, my first pumpkins were ready. So after buying the snowman rare crow from the traveling cart and paying for the first house upgrade from Robin, I finished the pantry with a pumpkin. That means I just need a snow yam for the crafts room and 3 apples for the bulletin board. Afterwards, I used a monster musk and worked on my dust sprite eradication goal. That evening, I took a quick break to go to the saloon. Ahoy Gus, jedno pivo prosim. I hung out with Sam, Sebastian, and Abigail for a bit, then went back into the mines, completing the dust sprite and bat monster slayer goals. The Junimos repaired the greenhouse overnight. Day 69 was a wonderfully thirsty day for a myriad of reasons. Reason number 1, the cranberries were ready again, and that just basically means more money to buy drinks and make improvements to my hilltop bar. Reason number 2, I was able to go shorty shopping again, since it was Abigail's birthday and the amethyst tasted so good that she was at 8 hearts and accepted my bouquet without question. Reason number 3, Gil forked over the burglar's ring, which meant I would be getting twice the amount of loot. And reason number 4, I went fiber farming for the rest of the day, and I don't know, having a lot of fiber is always good. Before heading to bed, I crafted a loom for the wool Hanky Panky was producing and a glowstone ring, since I couldn't make the iridium band yet. Check out my relationships on day 70. Bouquets galore. But I've got to catch them all, and there are still a few missing. A lot of pumpkins were ready to be picked, and I kegged some of them straight away. My apple tree had sprouted its 3rd apple, so Hugo and I took them to the community center and completed the bulletin board. Hey Alex, if you were a fruit, you'd be a fine apple. Haley was taking pictures with cows, and I'm starting to notice that her heart events are very random in comparison to the other bachelors and bachelorettes. Oh well, good for her to realize there's more to life than looks. I set up the greenhouse with 6 iridium sprinklers and planted some coffee beans, the few ancient seeds I had, and some winter seeds I had gotten from winter roots I put through a seed maker. I woke up in a house with a kitchen on day 71. Oh, Jody, why don't you just make a frittata or something? I know you have eggs at home. Sam dropped one a few weeks ago. Tons more pumpkins were ready, and I put some more tappers on the oak trees at the railroad that were growing in nicely. After opening the few geodes I had and not getting any new items to donate, I got Clint to upgrade my pickaxe to iridium. I went with Robin's resource rush quest, then drove to the desert where I found this cute calico vanilla forgeable, and handed Sandy a birthday sweet pea. Don't tell Emily, but I would date you if I could. I spent the rest of the day chopping trees and reached level 10 foraging, choosing the botanist profession, which will help with my inventory management. I wanted to show off some of my spirits at the Stardew Valley Fair on day 72. I didn't have enough to fill up the whole Grange display, but it was a good start. Just wait until next year. I ate a survival burger during the judging, as is my tradition, and wasn't surprised when Lewis told me I had won first place. I'm sad to report that I lost all of my star tokens when betting on green, so I played the fishing minigame a couple of times to bet again, this time successfully. Using the star tokens, I got the rare crow, pepper poppers, dried sunflowers, and the star drop that again reminded me of aspirin. The spirits were happy on day 73, so I got ready for a Skull Caverns run. Since I had a bit of time before Pam would be at the bus, I bought an auto grabber from Marnie because I was tired of milking my barn animals, and so I had just enough money to get the gold hoe upgrade. Right when I clicked, I realized I was 150G short for a bus ticket. I automatically tried to sell one of my rubies to Clint, but of course he won't talk to you while he's working on your tools. And since it was a Wednesday, Pierre was closed. I'm an idiot. So instead, I turned some of the fully grown ancient fruits into seeds for the greenhouse, then learned how to make flute blocks from Robin. I found this forageable called a hardy rosemary, and dove into the regular mines to start working on Robin's quest to get 1,000 stones. More cranberries were ready for the picking on day 74. I finally crafted a few more kegs and added them to my upgraded shed. I feel like I'm constantly low on copper, which is why this is taking so long. But I have to have this whole shed full by the end of the year. Hello, Mr. Doctor. It's a good thing you know CPR, because you take my breath away. The complete breakfast I gave Alex put him at 8 hearts, which of course meant I ran straight to Pierre to buy another bouquet. Here you go, handsome. By this point, I really wanted to start decorating the farm and make it more bar-like, but my crops are right where I plan on moving my coop and barn, so I don't really feel like I can do much at the moment. But that will all change once it's winter and I can move everything to where I want it to be. Plus, there's still one essential building missing. On day 75, I went straight to Robin's to commission a winery, a building provided by one of the mods I've installed. You can put casks into it, just like your basement, but I haven't quite decided if that's the way I'll be using it. I wanted to give Sebastian a frozen tear when he invited me to play a round of Solarian Chronicles, which I actually finished with an A rating for the first time ever. Right after that, I was in the cutscene where Maru's robot electrocuted me. Don't worry about it, I'll be fine. Also, Leah decided this rainy day was the perfect time to surprise me with a picnic. I punched her ex, and I don't know if she liked that. Then I picked up my gold hoe from Clint, bought as much copper ore as I could, which honestly wasn't a lot, and spent the rest of the day in the mines gathering more copper and stone. Day 76 was a boring but necessary day. I kegged more pumpkins and wheat, smelted through lots of copper, crafted 11 more kegs to add to my keg shed, and 21 tea saplings to ship, and once again, spent the rest of the day getting more stone and copper. Yep, that's all that happened. On to day 77, which was much more exciting. The winter forageables had grown in, and there were loads of snow yams. Robin was also finished with the winery. It looks awesome, and is the perfect addition to my thirsty farm. Hugo and I then rushed to the community center, finishing the whole thing with this little white tuber. I think this is the first time I've ever finished all bundles before winter, and it feels good, man. After handing Robin a birthday goat cheese, I finished her resource rush quest too. Abigail was in the graveyard for some reason, and after she and I hid in the bushes for a bit, I found the mayor and Marnie in their own hiding spot. Don't worry, you two. I won't tell if you won't. I wanted to celebrate this wonderful day at the saloon, where Elliot and I drank to our friendship. Salut Gus, oberite rock. Right before going to bed, I planted some melon and winter seeds I had lying around. I picked the Speed Grow Sweet Gemberry on day 78 and immediately took it to Master Cannoli in exchange for my 3rd star drop. The villagers were celebrating the restored community center in town, and I decided to ask Morris and Pierre to be reasonable, unlike I had been with Leah's ex. I quickly asked Clint to upgrade my watering can to gold, then sped off to the desert to start collecting more iridium. I need it for a bunch of stuff, including repairing Willie's boat. And I must say, the Skull Caverns are so much more enjoyable when you have a proper weapon. Got level 10 mining and chose the prospector profession, as well as level 9 combat. After putting some iridium on smelt, I swapped out my crystal shoes for dark boots I found during my run on day 79. My cranberries and some beers were ready, then I started putting down some pathing while waiting for the iridium bars to finish. Once they were done, I provided Willie with all the materials he needed to get me to Ginger Island. I went for Emily's rock rejuvenation quest, then found Maru in her kitchen, where I gave her a bouquet. Demetrius is going to kill me. I stopped Robin on her way to bed to ask her to build me a mill, which might actually come in handy for all the sugar I'm going to need for cocktails. I also used this opportunity to buy 2 stacks of wood from her. I used it to craft 4 more tappers, and wanted to put them on my oak trees when the wizard asked me to retrieve his magic ink from his ex. I have a feeling I'll be in a similarly awkward situation pretty soon. Since it was already pretty late, I decided to put that off for now. Instead, I finished off the day by crafting 5 more furnaces and an iridium band. The old Joja Mart was struck by lightning that night. I forgot to change the day counter on day 80. After handing Emily all of the gems she had asked for, I picked up my gold watering can and did a geode opening session. Although I did have a few new things to donate, the museum's collection was still quite a ways away from being finished. In the sewers, I asked Krobus if he had heard anything about a dark talisman. He unlocked the bug lair for me, where I found it and fished up a slime jack. Wow, Alex, that's real growth for you. You should be proud of yourself. On my way to the Witch's Swamp, I found this crazy-looking gentian root, then fished up a void mayo and a void salmon, and persuaded the henchman to move so I could grab the magic ink for the wizard. Don't do that to yourself, Rasmodius. He gave me access to his magical buildings, which would make nice additions to Fizzy Farm in the future. I had enough iron bars ready to craft 34 more kegs, which meant my keg shed was basically half full. Robin and Willie repaired the boat that night, so I knew exactly what my plans for day 81 would be. Emily sent me a sewing machine, and I picked and shipped my 2nd sweet gem berry before packing my bags for my first trip to the island. My standard inventory always includes all of my tools, 1 or 2 chests, a slingshot with a few rocks, a melon, wheat, and garlic seed, and at least 1 sprinkler, which I forgot to bring with me today. Right when getting off the boat, I found another new forageable, a Gem Isle Jasmine, then did the usual walnut run. I also made sure to chop down all the hardwood trees I could find, since I'm constantly out of hardwood. I found 2 whole dig spots on the island farm, but neither of them gave me a snake spine. After planting my seeds, I unlocked the farmhouse and was in bed by 2 a.m. It was nice to wake up in such a tropical place on day 82, but I still had a lot to do in the valley. After finishing clearing off the farm to maximize my chances for dig spots to spawn, Birdie handed me a photograph to help look for her late husband's keepsake. Then I sailed back to the mainland and came home to the last pumpkins ready for harvest. I started taking down any unnecessary sprinklers before asking Robin for the next house upgrade, having to fork over 50,000 G and 100 hardwood for it. Using the new sewing machine and a piece of ginger from the island, I tailored the forager's hat, a hat I fell in love with in my last playthrough on Drip Farm. I was feeling snazzy, so I headed to the saloon to hand out gifts and enjoy a delicious coffee, then spent the last hours of the day putting down more paths and adding some stone braziers to my greenhouse. Sam invited me to his house after dark on day 83. Ooh, that sounds like fun. And it wasn't just the affection of the villagers I was gaining. Cosmo also loved me. I was slowly but surely turning all of my pumpkins into juice for max profits, and had actually been planning on going to Clint to get the last axe upgrade and open some geodes, but I couldn't go due to the Spirits Eve festival being set up. So instead, I chopped down all the trees in Cindersap Forest, then cleared out most of the quarry before heading into the cave to get the golden scythe. At the Spirits Eve festival, I bought the recipe and rare crow, and after getting the golden pumpkin, I watched the skeletons with Sebastian and did some adult wrestling with Harvey before heading to bed. It was the last day of fall, and the final cranberry harvest was swiftly picked. I officially kegged all of the pumpkins, and went back to kegging hops. I wouldn't need any of the scarecrows or sprinklers anymore, and was looking forward to being able to move buildings and plan the layout of the farm. There were also lots of winter forageables in the greenhouse, which meant I had room to plant 13 more ancient seeds. I also planted all of the winter seeds that were left over, and was wealthy enough to buy some starfruit seeds from Sandy to put on the open spots. Then I set the plans into motion that I couldn't do yesterday. Clint opened my geodes, artifact troves, and golden coconuts, and I got super lucky with an early banana sapling. After asking for the iridium axe upgrade, Gunther took all of my new finds, then I went back to the island, where I put down some sprinklers and planted the starfruit seeds that hadn't fit in my greenhouse. Even though it was already pretty late in the day, I decided to go on my first volcano run, although I just barely didn't make it all the way through before passing out. It's a good thing I woke up on the island on day 85, because the weeds were getting dangerously close to my crops. After cleaning up, it was back to the valley. I took Demetrius's biome balance quest, then scythed down all of the dead crops. It took me quite a while, but I decided on a layout that would hopefully allow for a decent crop layout, and where the winery overlooked the valley. I also decided on this red, green, and brown color scheme. I'll have to see if I still like it come spring, when the world is less white. Afterwards, I commissioned a shed that I'm not quite sure what I want to do with yet, but I'll figure something out. Other than that, I gave Krobus a birthday horseradish and bought his star drop and a void egg, then started fishing for some river fish for Demetrius, including the legendary glacier fish. That night, I remembered Sam's letter and went to pay him a little visit. Oh my goodness, he's looking at his mom the same way he looked at me. I feel kinda yucky. A shadowy figure ran away from me on my way into town on day 86. After getting back my axe, I asked Clint for a copper trash can upgrade, since in my last 100 days, I learned that apparently a lot of people care about upgrading their trash cans. I'll try it out and see if I think it's worth it. I told Elliot that I like romance novels, then let Willie whisk me away to the island. In the volcano, I got a few more walnuts and found mermaid boots in a chest, then was able to enchant my sword at the forge, getting vampiric, which I was pretty happy with. I also forged a ruby into it for more damage, then rescued Professor Snail from the mushroom cave. On the morning of day 87, I found this gem seed cashew that looks more like a bell pepper, before clearing out the dig site and had a few things to give Professor Snail, including a mummified frog I found in the jungle. Back on my farm, I saw that the shed was finished and asked Robin to upgrade it. And when I gave Linus a birthday coconut, I got the Beloved Farmer achievement. Damn right I am. At the end of the day, I was able to craft 20 more kegs and kegged lots of coffee and hops. My house was humongous on day 88. After taking care of my boozy animals, I decided I wanted to go to the Skull Caverns to gather as much iridium as possible. Thanks to all the coffee I had kegged, I was able to make 17 triple shot espressos, and I made sure to hit up the dwarf for some bombs before leaving. I started getting lots of secret notes, and also found my first dino egg, as well as a whole dino floor. I always feel kind of bad about killing these cuties, but I'll take good care of their offspring. On day 89, I decided to head back to the island. Hey Alex, do you play soccer? 'Cause you look like a keeper. I always find it a bit annoying to never be sure if you've collected all of the walnuts in the volcano. And right when you start to think that you haven't seen one for a long time and you've probably gotten all of them, another one pops out of something. At the end of my run, I was able to forge another ruby into my sword. Day 90 was a super bad luck day, but the contents of this dig spot suggested otherwise. A fairly quick volcano run gifted me with my first ostrich egg, and I was able to forge my third and last ruby into the galaxy sword. While I was at the forge, I decided to fish up the lava eel, the best fish to put in a fish pond for max profits. Then I tackled the dreaded Simon Says game, and with a little bit of cheating, meaning I looked at the footage, I finished it and was rewarded with 3 walnuts, having enough to open the resort.
Isn't that amazing?
The villagers are going to love me. They'll be able to sit here and relax and drink pina coladas. Of course, only if I'm not at my speakeasy to serve them. My greenhouse was full of fully grown melons and winter forageables on day 91. I think I made a good decision to put my kegging shed right next to the greenhouse. That way I won't have to walk too far to keg my produce. I decided to trade the small collection of jades I had amassed for staircases at the Desert Trader, then bought a couple of starfruit seeds from Sandy. Back in town, Clint handed me the copper trash can, then opened up my geodes. I had a few things for the museum and also got a fossilized skull for Professor Snail. My shed had been fully upgraded for a few days now, so I went to Robin to paint it to match the other buildings, and while I was there, I moved a few more things around and asked her to build a second shipping bin. Then I just finished up the Biome Balance quest, bought the largemouth bass at the traveling cart because I was too lazy to go fish for it myself, took a look at Pierre's spicy magazines, and had dinner with one of my many boyfriends and his unsuspecting mom. Day 92, my void chicken had hatched, and I named her Mimosa. That meant my incubator had room for the dino egg I had gotten a few days ago. It was the day of the ice festival, but the spirits were in good humor, so I wanted to go to the Skull Caverns instead. Before I dove in, I gave the Desert Trader 10 iridium bars in exchange for the Desert Warp Totem. My run went pretty well, netting me many more secret notes, a dino floor littered with dino eggs, and lots more iridium. I maxed out my last skill, combat, and chose the brute profession. On day 93, I mayoed all of the dino eggs I could, then went to Clint to open the new geodes and get the steel trash can upgrade. I had 3 more things to give to Gunther, and picked up his fragments of the past quest from the special orders board. Hey Haley, feel my shirt. It's made of girlfriend material. I officially kegged all of the hops left over from summer today, and besides 19 more kegs, I also crafted some lamps, fence posts, iridium sprinklers, and braziers. This is what my progress on the animal enclosure looked like by the end of the night. I'll continue working on the rest of the farm tomorrow. On the morning of day 94, I set up this furnace area, but I wasn't really happy with it, and the layout up here will change a few times by the end of the year. I created a path up to the backwoods right here, then grabbed a frozen tear to hand to the birthday boy Sebastian, boosting him up to 8 hearts. While I was there, I moved my buildings around a teensy bit more before buying one of each normal fruit tree I was missing, meaning not the modded ones, and a bouquet from Pierre. Also, Gus was selling salmon dinners I bought for Alex. Then Hugo and I snuck up on Sebastian to surprise him with the flowers. 9 partners in the bag, 3 more to go. The trees were put in the greenhouse since I'll need them to make fruit syrups, and I smelted more iridium before heading to bed. Day 95 was a super good luck day, so I obviously had to go to the Skull Caverns. Since it was also a Thursday, I got to trade 3 prismatic shards for a magic rock candy. then I staircased down the first 56 levels. I got really lucky on level 90, finding the best secret note from Mr. Key, which meant that 10 floors later, I was given the Iridium Snake Milk. By 2 AM, I had found 5 prismatic shards, over 450 iridium ores, and another dino floor, passing out on level 156. After marveling at my satisfying loot on day 96, I demolished the furnace area and moved my buildings around again. I don't know why I'm so indecisive, but even though the farm is quite big, with the way I have it now, I just barely have enough room for one of my standard crop layouts, and don't know if I want more. Plus, by this point I have decided I want to try to make the winery the bar, so I'll use the shed for other things. I also commissioned a fish pond and bought as much wood as I could. My oak resin was ready, and I realized that I would never have enough tappers for all these trees, so I decided to chop a few down. Although I couldn't afford anything, I decided to go to the saloon, hoping I might get some inspiration for Fizzy Farm, then found some Cindersap cinnamon before going on a thirsty camping trip with Emily. I literally spent all of day 97 moving stuff around on my farm. Now the crafting and smelting station are in the middle of this upper area, and the brewing stations the mods add are in the winery, where I also put down some chests to store all of the ingredients I might need. The crop area is a tiny bit smaller than I usually make it, but I think it'll still work. Obviously, it's not finished yet, but I'm feeling good about my layout decisions. Day 98 was a Sunday, and I still needed to finish the fragments of the past quest, so first I headed to Ginger Island to mine the bone nodes. My crops were all fully grown, which incentivized the Gourmand Frog to give me 15 golden walnuts, and after selling Pier 27 tea saplings I crafted, I visited Harvey to give him a birthday coffee. His enthusiasm for the plane overhead was such a turn-on that I went straight back to Pierre to pick up a bouquet. Since I had taken all of the bone fragments I already had in a chest with me, I had enough to add to the drop-off box at the museum, but I still had to go into the mines to finish the collecting part of the quest with the monster musk. It didn't take long at all, and when I came back out, I found Abigail being swarmed by bats. She must have really liked my monster stench, because we smooched there and then. Elliot, stay right there. I'll go get you a gift. Just 2 seconds. Elliot? At the end of the day, I finished putting down pathing around my crop field, leaving a little room for a Junimo hut. I chose Willie's Juicy Bugs Wanted quest from the Special Orders board on day 99 before asking him to take me to the island. I decided to do a quick volcano run before the night market started, which was very worth it. I got 7 dragon's teeth and found a deluxe pirate's hat in a treasure chest, then picked my crops before heading back to the valley. At the night market, I made a beeline for the mermaid show, which always feels slightly scandalous. Got the pearl, then bought the Lupini painting to impress Leah. I also couldn't pass up the opportunity for a free coffee and bought some of the decorations before heading home. There, I picked and replanted starfruits and ancient seeds, kegged the starfruits, and shipped my pale ales and melon wines for a pretty penny. On day 100, I put a sturgeon into my new fish pond, then played around with some pathing at the top of the farm for a bit. But once again, I'm not really sure if it'll stay this way. My money was burning a hole in my pocket, and I wanted to get another iridium tool upgrade, but Clint wasn't there. So I put down some more paths before the night market started. Elliot and Penny are the last 2 singles I have to woo, and sadly, neither of them were at the night market, although Elliot was just heading through his door when I spotted him. I swear he's trying to avoid me, but I will make him love me. To console myself, I got into the submarine and did some fishing, getting all 3 of the exclusive fish, and before heading to bed, I broke up a brawl between the dwarf and Krobus, then reset my mining professions to be able to sell metal bars at an increased price. Clint actually decided to work on day 101, so after handing the wizard a birthday purple mushroom, I got to pick up my steel trash can and did my usual geode opening before selling him most of my iridium bars and asking for the last hoe upgrade. I found Elliot hiding in the library, where I gave him a nice pomegranate. I saw that both he and Penny were missing over 1 full heart, so I also made sure to give her an emerald. All those wooden paths were eating through my wood reserves, so I used a lot of my iridium money to buy 4 stacks of wood before going to the night market. Hey Elliot, can I have your picture so I can show Santa what I want for Christmas? The rest of the night was spent in the mines, gathering bug meat for Willie. Ooh, another ancient seed. Don't mind if I do. On day 102, Alex invited me to the saloon, and I found out that I got to get Elliot a secret gift for the Feast of the Winter Star. Perfect. I also finally filled up the whole first shed with kegs.
Isn't that amazing?
And decided on this spot for a second crop area. Before laying down the pathing, I handed out some more gifts and felt slightly creepy while sitting in Penny's trailer, waiting for her to get home. Hey Penny, I'm no photographer, but I can definitely picture us two together. This is what the second crop field layout looked like at the end of the day, and up here, I'll make a little beer garden for my patrons, where they'll have a great view of the abrupt color changes of the mountains. Day 103 was extremely interesting. First, Maru showed me her sentient machine. No sir, no funny business going on here. Bye Marilda. Demetrius will never let Maru date ever again. Hey Sebastian, how's it going? What do you mean Maru has the same shade of lipstick? After I cleared out the quarry and filled it with kegs, I added 10 more tappers to the oak trees at the railroad, so they were now finally all tapped. Then Alex bought me dinner at the saloon in our own little private room, and it was more than a little awkward to have one of my girlfriends serve us. Gus is probably trying to talk her out of being with me. Alex, you've got a little bit on your face, bud. Then, to top it all off, Sebastian took me to this makeout spot overlooking Zuzu City. I tried to ignore my hurting chapped lips while I ate the trash cookies I had found to get rid of the bad feeling in my stomach. Oh god, I've become a sibling smoocher. Day 104 was a bit more civilized. The cutest little dino hatched, and I decided to name her Grasshopper. My star fruits were ready, and after kegging them and planting more seeds, I picked up my hoe and gave Evelyn a birthday diamond. I still had to complete Willie's bug quest, and although I didn't feel like doing the collecting part today, I took 100 bug meats I already had in a chest and put them in the barrel outside his shop. It was thrilling to see Gus on the island, and of course I couldn't pass up the opportunity to get the Gold Star wine for the missing bundle and the tropical curry recipe and a pina colada for myself. After putting on my pirate hat, I played 3 rounds of darts with the pirate and had a celebratory mead afterwards. Day 105 was a rainy day on the island, and since I had already gotten 2 gems from the gem birds, I was able to guess the second half of the puzzle in the jungle, netting me 5 more walnuts. I used them to unlock the island trader. Nothing much else happened that day. I was able to pick up the fully grown winter forageables on my farm, which I just turned back into seeds and replanted, put a lava eel into my new fish pond, then made a monster musk to get as much bug meat as possible, finishing Willie's quest at midnight. I crafted 2 more crystallariums to triple my jade production on day 106, and while doing my farm chores, I saw that my very first starfruit wines were ready. Who doesn't like expensive booze? Gus wanted to make his famous omelet, so I agreed to take on his quest, then headed to the island where I found out I still needed 7 walnuts to be allowed through the door. I fished up the spine of the fossilized animal before finding a few more walnuts during a volcano run, then panned up the fossilized tail. Now I just need to hand in the skull that I have lying in a chest on my farm at home. I went through the volcano yet again on day 107, since I still wasn't quite sure if I had found all the walnuts, even though I didn't find any this time around. Plus, I still need to find a fossilized bat, which can drop from any of the rocks. I didn't get that either, but at least I had enough bones and cinder shards to get the banana pudding and deluxe retaining soil recipes from the island trader. On my way back to Fizzy Farm, I saw Penny and gifted her an emerald, getting her up to 8 hearts. Unfortunately, Pierre's was closed, so I'll have to give her a bouquet some other day. Then I spent the rest of the evening adding more pathing to the farm. I bought not 1, but 2 bouquets on day 108. Of course, Penny got one of them, but I was also positive I would be able to put Elliot under my spell by the end of the year. After opening geodes at Clint's, I sold him most of my valuable iridium and gold bars, then bought 600 each of copper and iron ores, and asked for a gold trash can upgrade. I found Penny and the kids in the forest, who asked me if I had a boyfriend. Yeah, like 6 actually, but don't tell Penny. Then Marnie sold me a second auto grabber and heater for my poor freezing coop animals. It was raining on the island, and I knew I would find the mermaid there, so I set up the 5 flute blocks for 5 golden walnuts. I had also remembered to bring the skull with me, getting 5 more and another banana sapling. That meant I had enough walnuts to construct the farm obelisk and enter Key's walnut room, where I picked the prismatic grains quest. Before heading back to the mainland on day 109, I scoured my island farm for dig spots to no avail, then used a prismatic shard I had gotten from one of my volcano runs to enchant my pickaxe, getting the best one straight away, the Swift enchantment. It was the big day, the Feast of the Winter Star, the social highlight of the winter season. After saying hi to everyone, of course I once spiced meet Emily, do you even know me? I gave the apple of my eye, Elliot, a gold star duck feather. Robin gave me a great gift, 25 hardwood. I thought about sitting down next to someone before calling it a day, but I realized no matter where I went, I could get into a prickly situation with the rest of my lovers, wondering why I'm not sitting next to them. I had a crisis of conscience. Should I settle down soon for the warmth of a genuine loving embrace from a true one and only? Nah. That night, I used the hardwood Robin had given me to craft some more bar machines for my cocktails, and even made my first lemon and lime juices. The first caviar was ready on day 110, meaning I was able to complete the missing bundle at the decrepit Joja Mart. Also, Elliot invited me to his book reading. Ooh, sounds intriguing. After handing in the caviar, Gold Star wine, Dino mayo, Gold Star void salmon, and a prismatic shard to help the last little Junimo reunite with their family, I tried to find Clint to give him a birthday topaz, but he was nowhere to be found. I assumed he was on the island, and was hopeful I would get to see Harvey there, but no. At least Elliot was there enjoying the sun, so I got to hand out my very last bouquet. Gus, please keep this on the down low. I have now officially wooed every single person I could, and look forward to seeing the rest of the 10 heart cutscenes. I spent the rest of the day in the volcano, where I found the bat, which means now I'm just missing the last dang snake spine. That night, the Junimos turned the old Joja Mart into a movie theater. On day 111, another batch of starfruit wine was ready. After selling them to Pierre, I picked up my gold trash can from Clint and bought 500 pieces of coal, copper, and iron before the inflation hits in year 2. Similarly, I bought 2 stacks of wood from Robin, then asked for the final house upgrade, which would add a wine cellar. When I arrived on the island, I was blessed with the sight of this hunk of a man. Hello, Harvey. Have a coffee.
Isn't that amazing?
It was a bit of a struggle, but I was able to pull enough things together to finish the yellow, orange, purple, and blue things for the prismatic range, but was missing 20 green and 50 red things, and was appalled to find out that cinder shards and magma caps don't count for red. In which reality are these orange? Before heading to bed, I enchanted some of my tools, getting bottomless on my watering can and shaving on my axe after 3 tries. It was day 112, the last day of the year. I said hi to my boozy flocks before adding 24 more kegs to the quarry. Then it was time to listen to an excerpt from Elliot's romance novel. Most people had left by the end, which makes me think he skimped on the steamy parts. I walked into what could have been a disaster on the island, but thank goodness the boys all played it cool, and none of them asked for a kiss in front of the others. Key's prismatic range was completed with 20 more fiber and 50 explosive ammo, and I used the gems to get the key to the town and 3 mushroom tree seeds. Then I spent the last hours of the day on Fizzy Farm, trying to make it as beautiful as possible before the new year rolled around, by adding more pathing and these signs that will display little knickknacks, just like in your favorite dingy pub. New year, new me, and new villager outside my door called Kent. Hey daddy-in-law, welcome home. I was very happy to see Hugo again, and when I saw Robin outside my house, I remembered she was working on my final house upgrade, which will give me a basement with casks. Then I enjoyed a nice morning espresso before prepping my farmland for the new spring seeds. While hoeing away, I was thinking of yummy spring cocktails, and had a craving for a good old Aperol Spritz. Light, bittersweet, and refreshing. Also, let me take this time to address some mistakes I made while ordering beers in my first 100 days. It seems like my Swedish sounded a lot more like Norwegian. I kind of have to rely on Google Translate to learn the pronunciation, and I mean...
En öl, tack. En öl, tack.
I'm sorry, but the robot ladies just sound the same to me. But thanks to a few helpful comments, I'll give it another go. Ein Öl, tack. I hope that was better. I also learned that I messed up the Polish one, so here's a revised and hopefully better way to say 1 beer please. Jedno piwo proszę. Most of the languages in this video are going to be way outside of my comfort zone, as I'm more familiar with Germanic and Italic languages and their pronunciation, but I swear I'm doing my very best. Now back to the gameplay. Since I had already met Birdie, I had an old war photo in a chest that I gave to Kent, who gave me a tomato salt in return. Linus was offering his community cleanup quest, which I gladly took to get access to the fiber seeds. Hey Maru, are you a carbon sample? Because I want to date you. Hey Leah, on a scale of 1 to 10, you're a 9, and I'm the one you need. I bought 24 of each seed type, as well as 192 rhubarb seeds from Sandy that took me all day to finish planting. The start to day 114 was very exciting. Harvey sent me a letter saying he had a surprise for me. Hey Slimmer, hey Screwdriver, how y'all doing? My journal started blinking when I took some eggs out of the auto-grabber, which reminded me I had taken Gus's omelet quest at the end of last year and had apparently just finished it. After putting the tomato salt on a sign outside of the winery, I saw that the greenhouse was coming in nicely. There were 3 bananas and several star fruits ready, which were replaced with ancient seeds and put into kegs. Sure, these train goodies and oak resin are nice, but where's the surprise I was promised? When I walked into the saloon, Emily told me she wants to expand the menu with cocktails and mocktails and needs special ingredients, but doesn't have a local supplier. Of course, I offered Fizzy Farm services and was excited to see how this would go. Gus appreciated the tomato salt and gave me a Stardew Valley rose to add to my sign collection. Day 115 proved once again that Gus is an awesome person, as he had sent me a mini fridge. You've really got to step up your mail game, Jody. Also, I checked out my new basement filled with casks. Pretty sweet. More ancient fruit in the greenhouse was ready, which I turned back into seeds, and once I had finished my farm chores, I drove to the desert to hand Sandy the rose that was almost as pretty as she was, getting a TV remote in return. Hey Haley, did you just come out of the oven? Because you're hot. Then I did the whole red paperclip spiel, trading the stuff I got from different NPCs for other stuff, and each time Hugo took me back to the farm so I could display them on my signs. Hey Abigail, you must be tired, because you've been running through my mind all day. The daily chores of day 116 were quickly finished thanks to my trusty cup of joe, and I kegged more coffee to be able to stay as caffeinated as possible. Hey Penny, your hand looks lonely. Can I hold it for you? Kent enjoyed his birthday daffodil, and I asked Clint for an iridium watering can upgrade. Then it was off to the island. Hey Alex, want a raisin? No? How about a date? Hey Elliot, if you were words on a page, you'd be fine print. The farm was in need of a quick cleanup, then I gave Birdie her late husband's locket. Are you sure you don't want to check out the other fish in the sea? After taking on Key's crop quest, which can be a bit of a grind but very worth it for 100 key gems, I got to meet the cute gorilla when I gave him one of my bananas. The first beans popped out of some trees I chopped down, and I found a wild cacao pod on the ground, which I had only ever gotten from Haley in a letter. Then I planted the beans on the island farm and walked back to the valley to head to bed. Day 117 was a decently lucky day, so I bought some bombs from the dwarf and popped a lucky lunch before heading into the skull caverns. I had a great time, getting more key beans and finding loads of prismatic shards. Passed out on level 98 when 2 AM rolled around. The first crops of the season, parsnips and garlic, were fully grown on day 118. Pierre's family was off to visit the island resort, but luckily he left a box out where I was able to buy more potato seeds to plant on the open spots. After making a quick pit stop at Clint's to pick up my watering can, I went to level 100 of the mines to fish for trash. I'd been planning on putting it into the dumpster to finish Linus' quest when Harvey surprised me with a hot air balloon ride. Going to the saloon is a great idea. Hey, Harvey, did you happen to bring your island outfit? I had a great time crafting 50 more kegs to add to my growing collection in the quarry and used my key to the town to get to the island that evening, where I put down more sprinklers and planted all the key beans I had collected yesterday. I woke up on the island on day 119 and planted the taro roots and rice shoots I had in a chest before going on a trek through the volcano to gather more cinder shards to enchant the last 2 tools. By the end of it, I had found 45 more cinder shards, went to go get prismatic shards from a chest, when I realized I had gotten the tiger hat. At the forge, I got Archaeologist on my hoe, which would be pretty useful to find the last artifacts, and Master on my fishing rod, which was also nice. Then I planted the few key beans I found in the volcano on the island farm before heading home, where some fully grown potatoes were waiting for me that I put into the brewing stations to make vodka. Day 120, I harvested my kale and the spring flowers, as well as the fully grown star fruits in my greenhouse that I was able to replace with ancient fruit seeds. I found 2 of the new modded quests on the special orders board, and decided to go for Linus's quest called Calico Dreams to get 3 Calico Vanilla. Hey Haley, I think you might be lacking some vitamin me. The wizard was nice enough to give me a Junimo hut in exchange for some fiber, stone, and star fruits, and after planting some parsnips, I ran into this emo encounter. Sebastian, life without you is like a broken pencil. Pointless. Linus gave me 900 gold as a reward for the vanilla beans, and I decided to head to the saloon to reinvest the money. When I walked in, Clint needed a little lesson in sweet talking. But I must say, he isn't the quickest learner. Also, Gus and his patrons were really enjoying the giant omelet made with fizzy eggs. I was able to pick my first key fruits on day 121 and saw that Mr. Key was offering the Loved Gifts quest. Of course I had to take it. I crafted 3 more seed makers to add to the greenhouse, rebeaned my key fruits, and found a nice little collection of ancient fruit and starfruit wines ready in the shed. While I was on my gift-giving spree, I took a quick break to open some geodes, and unfortunately I only got 1 new thing to donate to the museum, a barite. But at least it got me a crystallarium. Hey Sebastian, let me just wiggle in here. Ah, that's nice. Oh, Elliot, you really know how to woo a woman with your piano playing skills. I wanted to buy a Nani beer for Shane, but could only practice my foreign languages with the box, since Gus was on the island. But it understood what I wanted. Ei, caixa do Gus. Uma cerveja, por favor. I hit a tiny milestone today when I finally found the first morels of this playthrough, which actually don't spawn in the Mushroom Cave on Ginger Island, even though you would think they did. My first vodkas were ready in the winery, and I made a pretty chunk of change that night. On day 122, the trees in the greenhouse were now all fully grown and bearing fruit, which was exciting because I'll be using it to make fruit syrups for cocktails. Pam had asked me for a pale ale last year, and today was the day I finally got around to giving it to her. Sorry, bestie. Then it was back to handing out more gifts. That's when I found Haley in her dark room, and apparently I could have been more forward with her and let my thirst flag fly. Well, that's disappointing. Looks like I missed my shot. Vincent got some birthday grapes, and I said hi to Krobus before heading to the bar. Hey Gus, yksi olut kiitos. Hey Maru, I hope our fling will be like the number pi. Irrational and endless. Since it was raining, I spent the evening at the lake, where I missed the first time it bit, but ultimately caught the legend, one of the last fish I needed. Then I warped to the island, where I put down all the seed makers I had, and planted as many key beans as I could before I had to head to bed. Elliot had sent me a letter on day 123, inviting me to come to the docks. Y'all know I love surprises. Then I put down more sprinklers and the rest of the key beans. When Willie dropped me off at the valley, Elliot was already there, waiting to put me in a different boat. You're lucky I was looking forward to this, otherwise this could have felt a bit threatening. I found a golden relic and a strange doll in the desert and handed out the last loved gift for Key's quest to Sandy, before buying 100 deluxe speed grows and almost 200 starfruit seeds. I also caught the scorpion carp while I was there, another difficult fish I don't have to worry about anymore. After harvesting some green beans, I was just trying to be a good Samaritan and give Emily an apricot she wanted when I found all the boys at the saloon, who had their panties in a bunch because of me. I told them to calm down and that I only did what I did because they were all so pushy, but it didn't seem like they accepted that explanation. Luckily, we were still all in our relationships, but I think they won't talk to me anymore. I tried to take my mind off of it by fishing for a ghost fish and a stonefish on level 20 of the mines. Day 124 was a super lucky day, so I went to the Skull Caverns. It went fine, but nothing really special happened, and there wasn't a ton of iridium lying around. I passed out on level 98 at 2 AM. Before the Egg Festival started on day 125, I picked all of the fully grown crops and put down the 100 speak rows I had gotten from Sandy. The Junimos picked their first crops, which was nice to see, and I shipped whatever I needed to fill in the shipping log, then kegged the rest of the veggies. I bought 200 strawberry seeds, the plush bunny, the banner, and a few flamingos from Pierre, and ignored the boys for now to give them the space they needed to come to terms with my polyamorous tendencies. After winning the egg hunt and 1000 G, I planted all the strawberry seeds I could and still had a few left over. Day 126 was another very lucky day, and before heading to the Skull Caverns, I picked my crops and got upset with Pierre for not selling anything before 9 AM. I thought about waiting for him to head to his cash register, but decided against it and would take care of the planting tomorrow. The desert trader gave me 50 staircases for my jades, then I went back into the Skull Caverns. I passed out on level 135, with almost 400 iridium ores and 2 more prismatic shards in my pockets, amongst other things. Day 127 was a day of farm maintenance. My sturgeons were asking for pickles, and I had to ship some for the shipping log as well, so I put 2 green beans into preserves jars. Leah was offering a quest called A Bushel and a Peck to get her 4 wild strawberries and 4 wild raspberries. Good thing I have like 300 at home in a chest. Hey Haley, is your last name Campbell? Because you're good. I had bought as many cauliflower seeds as I could afford from Pierre and filled the rest of the open-tilled spots with some fiber seeds. I kegged lots of rhubarbs, and luckily my oak resin farm at the train station was ready, so I was able to craft 30 more kegs to add to the quarry. More iron had finished smelting overnight, so I crafted 16 more kegs on day 128. Of course I filled all of them with more produce. Hey Penny, if you were a potato, you'd be a sweet potato. I completed Leah's berry quest by handing them into a plant, of all things, which netted me 1,360 gold. Tons of key fruits and all the rice and taro roots were done growing on the island, and I went with Key's kindness quest again, since I still needed to get my friendships up anyway. Plus, it's kind of my brand to seduce people with gifts. But I immediately remembered that the boys weren't talking to me, so I wasn't quite sure if I'd be able to finish this quest. I spent the rest of the day rebeating the key fruits and passed out while planting them. Leah had sent me a crafting recipe for a berry basket in the mail as a reward for finishing her quest on day 129, which looks like a cute little decoration, but you need 12 spice berries to make it. I finished rebeaning and planting the key beans, then found some patrons arriving at the island resort. Hey guys, I'll let you know when the Fizzy Farm speakeasy is open for business, but for now you can relax here. I wanted to buy the modded trees to plant on my farm, but they weren't showing up in Pierre's inventory, so I just bought 100 sugars. Hopefully it's just because he's on the island right now. Harvey was pretending to be busy with work, but I knew he was just ignoring me. I started making my first fruit syrups and saw that lots of kegs were finished processing, which I refilled with coffee beans and rhubarbs. Then I spent the rest of the day gathering hardwood to be able to craft more brew stations and made over 150,000 G from all the wines, juices, and iridium bars I had shipped. The pickles were ready on day 130, which made my sturgeons very happy. I collected my first mango and banana syrups and replaced them with apples and peaches. I also made my first floral and aromatic bitters with the modded forageables, and I'm going to have to work on expanding my stock of ingredients before I can start making real drinks. I tried to hand out gifts, but sadly the boys won't accept them from me anymore. Well then, Harvey, at least let me through so I can talk to Maru. Now that Pierre was back at work, I was finally able to buy a lot of the modded trees. Ahigas, que copabiri. Ooh, and a few Autumn's bounties for Lewis too, please. Hey Penny, wanna go to the movies? I bought her a star cookie, and after watching the brave little sapling together, she was finally at 10 hearts. The last bachelorette I needed to max out. At the end of the day, I tried to find some nice places around the farm to plant my new trees. Day 131 started with a letter from Penny asking me to come to the bathhouse after dark. I might have to try to finish Key's quest first, or else there won't be anyone left to accept my gifts. The first 100 speak row strawberries were fully grown, and I kegged as many as I could, then handed out more gifts. Ordering beer from a box isn't as fun, but here goes. 안녕 상자, 맥주 한 잔 주세요. I got to see Gus on the island, so I ordered a pina colada from him in person. Luckily, the boys were coming back around again and willing to let bygones be bygones. Well, looks like I can go see Penny now after all. Yay! After handing my last gift of the day to Sandy, I finally put a solar essence in the sand dragon's mouth, which was part of a quest I had started last year, then collected the peach and apple syrups, replacing them with oranges and pomegranates. Yay, more new syrups to add to my little collection. Soon I'll be making the most delicious cocktails. I found a club card in the lumber pile outside my house, meaning I would now have access to Keys Casino. Then I handed out more gifts to the bachelors who were willing to give me a second chance. Hey Alex, are you Italian? 'Cause I want a pizza you. Hey Harvey, is there an airport nearby, or is that just my heart taking off? Hey Elliot, do you like bagels? 'Cause you're bagels. 180 kiwifruits were fully grown on the island farm and were rebeaned and replanted for hopefully the last time. I also got really lucky and found the last snake vertebrae, completing Professor Snail's museum. When I headed back to the mainland, I found Willie and gave him the last gift needed to finish Key's quest. After taking a look at the missing fish in my collections tab, I decided to work on filling it up on day 133. Before getting started on that, I opened up a few artifact troves and geodes and was able to donate 2 more things to the museum, getting a magic rock candy as a reward. Then I asked Clint for the final trash can upgrade and went to level 60 of the mines, where I fished up an ice pip. I was just trying to go to the island to do some more fishing when Jody and Sam decided to get into some deep talk right outside of Willie's shop. Why don't we talk about this over a beer, you two? I picked and shipped 85 kiwifruits, then fished up a stingray and a lionfish. Now I just need a squid, an albacore, and a halibut. I wanted to finally go and meet Penny at the bathhouse, but she stood me up. Wow, that hurts. After drinking my morning espresso on day 134, I got to work taking care of all of my farm chores. I spent the whole day picking crops and fiber, kegging strawberries, collecting oak resin, and making more kegs. There were only a few days left in spring, so I filled up the empty crop fields with potato seeds. I also collected more hardwood and smelted metal ores, then decided to try my luck at the bathhouse again. Penny was there and told me she couldn't stop thinking about me. I told her I felt the same way, but left out that it was because she was the last person I would get to share a steamy evening with.
Isn't that amazing?
Now I'm going to have to think about how to proceed with the bachelors and bachelorettes, seeing as I'll have to marry somebody someday. The letter I got on day 135 telling me about tomorrow's flower dance made this even more clear. Who should I ask now that I've put all of them under my spell? Well, that'll be a future Mimi problem. For now, I picked more strawberries, coffee, ancient fruits, and tree fruits, then made my first ancient fruit syrups. I crafted 8 more iridium sprinklers to put on the island farm, and on my way there, I picked up the wizard's curious substance quest. Hey Sam, I'm gonna have to call the police, because it's got to be illegal to look that good. After putting down the sprinklers, I planted 192 starfruit and a couple of pineapple seeds that would earn me a pretty penny once kegged. Key's Dangers in the Deep quest was up for grabs, then I headed back to my farm in the valley where I added 2 more brew stations to the winery to increase my syrup output.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
Future Mimi's day had come, as day 136 was the day of the flower dance. I was debating who to dance with while taking care of the farm. I'll eventually have to get married at some point if I want to reach perfection, so maybe I should dance with that person? But I also really don't want to give up my flirty ways yet. I bought some decorations for the farm before taking a good look at everyone. For starters, Haley and Alex are too health conscious for me. Mara and Penny are honestly kind of boring, and a doctor definitely won't make a great bartender. These people also don't exactly scream fun, and I know Shane would probably be the obvious choice, but I don't want to tempt him to fall back into bad habits. I mean, Elliot might be a good choice. He's an author who likes a good wine. So, him it is, although it still feels kind of wrong. Luckily, marriage wasn't a pressing issue at the moment, since I still had a lot to get done before having to worry about perfection. So on day 137, I dove into the reset mines. After getting down to level 10, I took a quick break to warp to the desert to trade 3 prismatic shards for a magic rock candy, but went straight back in once I had it. Abigail, what are you doing? By the end of the night, I had found a good amount of radioactive ore, 2 pearls, and a galaxy soul. Passed out on level 39. What a shame. On day 138, I crafted as much hyperspeed grow and deluxe speed grow as I could, then picked all of the strawberries my Junimos wouldn't come out to get since it was raining. I warped to the desert where I was very happy to see hundreds of fully grown key fruits. Hopefully these will be the last ones I need to ship, but I put down the last few beans I had with some hyperspeed grow, just in case. The rest of the fertilizer was put on the star fruits, then it was back to the mines. The going was slow, since it was a very unlucky day, so at some point I decided to eat my magic rock candy. And it was a good thing I did, because it freed up a spot in my backpack that an ectoplasm I hadn't seen whooshed into. Passed out on level 65. Some of the last crops of the season were ready for the picking on day 139. I realized I was missing 3 stupid key fruits, but luckily I still had a few that would be fully grown tomorrow. A memory of the ectoplasm will go right here on a sign in front of my winery. Then I went to Marnie to buy 2 new animals. A piggy named Shirley, like a Shirley Temple, which is traditionally a mocktail, and a little sheep called Lemon Drop, like a variation of the martini. After handing the ectoplasm to the wizard, I went to Clint to finally pick up my iridium trash can and open the geodes I had found. Luckily, I got both of the minerals I was missing for the museum, a helvite and a fairy stone. And now only needed 3 more artifacts to get that star drop. I made it down to level 91 in the reset mines, where I died, lost lots of cool stuff, and immediately passed out. Wow. Day 140 was the last day of spring. I pet my new baby animals and got to pick and ship the last key crops. I warped to the desert, where Sandy sold me 600 starfruit seeds, and the desert trader gave me 37 staircases for my jades. The staircases made finishing the Reset Mines quest a breeze, and even though I stopped here and there to collect radioactive ore, I was done before 4 p.m. I saw Haley and was just trying to sweet talk her when I stumbled into a gathering of all my girlfriends, who were very upset with me. Ladies, calm down. It's just a lifestyle choice. They wouldn't hear it, but I knew they would get over it soon enough.
Isn't that amazing?
I decided to take my mind off of what had just happened by planting as many starfruit seeds as I could. I also rebeaned the speed grow key fruits I didn't have to ship, since the fully grown fruits disappear from your inventory once the quest is over, but you can keep any leftover beans for the next time. The beginning of the new season started as it always does. I was daydreaming about a deliciously thirst-quenching bourbon iced tea. After getting rid of the dead plants, I went to Pierre's to buy 48 melons, 5 tomatoes, peppers, hops, and corn, 24 radishes, 2 poppies, 25 spangles, 24 red cabbages, 24 blueberries, and 4 wheat. Hey Shane, if you were a chicken, you'd be impeccable. The rest of the open-tilled spots were filled with starfruit seeds. Planting is so much quicker with upgraded tools, so I even had time to get a lucky charm from the truck driver, collect oak resin up at the railroad, and make more syrups and juices. Day 142 was a really lucky day, so I warped straight to the desert. But I didn't want to go to the Skull Caverns. I regretted my decision to go so early when I got there and realized I would only be able to enter the casino at 9. When I was finally let in, I bought 100 key coins and played at the Calico Spins machine until I had enough to get an alien rare crow. My greenhouse was full of ancient fruit, and at the Adventurers Guild, I took a look at my Monster Slayer goals, which were only about half finished. Using 3 stacks of wood I bought off of Robin, I crafted 27 more kegs, added them to the quarry, and kegged whatever I could. I love wine day. The deluxe scarecrow recipe was in the mail on day 143, so my visit to the casino had paid off. I would have been worried by the look on Haley's face, but I knew she would allow me back into her heart in a few days. Then Willie took me to the island where I wanted to work on his tropical fishing quest I had picked up a few days ago. Geohoit Gus, Pionte Bjor Lotahol. He was offering the extended family quest, and I had so many key gems thanks to the completed Keys Crop quest that I bought all of his crafting recipes, Pierre's missing stock list, and 80 magic bait. Then I fished until I had 5 blue discus and 5 stingrays. Now I just need the 5 lionfish. On day 144, I gave my lava eels 2 mega bombs and the sturgeons 3 omni geodes they wanted, then turned some more potatoes into vodka. I gave Pierre his missing stock list and was told off by his salty daughter, then spent all day fishing up the extended family for Key's quest and managed to get all 5. Do you guys think fish drink water, or is it more of an osmosis thing, where it just seeps into their bodies because they're constantly surrounded by it? More espresso, less depresso. On day 145, 20 more kegs were added to the quarry before it was off to Ginger Island, where I successfully fished up the 5 missing lionfish. I was very happy to see all the men enjoying their time at the resort. Hey Harvey, are you a beaver? Because damn! It was already pretty late in the day, but since I needed cinder shards to craft an ostrich incubator, I headed through the volcano and managed to get the monster eradication goal for slimes right before passing out at 2 a.m. Day 146 started with a volcano run that wasn't really anything special, but I did finish slaying 500 magma sprites and had enough cinder shards to craft that incubator. That evening, I fished in the ocean with Key's magic bait, getting 2 of the 3 fish I was missing, a halibut and a squid. The albacore didn't bite, but I'll try again some other time. Since I wasn't able to keep up with mailing all of the eggs my thirsty coop animals were laying, I crafted 5 more mayo machines on day 147, and also put an ostrich egg into the incubator. Some radishes were fully grown and replaced with starfruit seeds. Then Gil gave me the slime charmer ring. I spent a few hours slaying void spirits before I got bored, and went to my island farm to harvest and replant starfruits. I was able to make my first pineapple juices and star bitters, and was getting really close to having enough ingredients to make my first cocktails. Also, I had finally found enough spice berries to make the cute little berry basket recipe and put it on the table in my house. Then I spent the last hour of the day kegging delicious star fruits. On day 148, I installed a new mod that will update special orders quicker, because I really want to get the drinks orders going and hadn't seen any so far. I set it up so the board would refresh on Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. The oak resin was ready, and in much more important news, I realized that the ladies were talking to me again. Today, the special orders board had a quest from Gus who wanted 6 foraged fruits. I happily obliged and got 1250 G as a reward. Kamusta Gus? Dalawang alak niya po. I shared the second one with Shane. Then I finally realized that Emily already had her own little cash register, so I could take a look at her limited menu that you can expand by completing special orders for her. I crafted 20 more kegs for the quarry and kegged some salmon berries to have cheap wines on hand for cocktail making purposes in the future. I'm sad to report that I lost the footage for day 149, and I'm not exactly sure what happened that day. All I know is that I had loads more crystallariums than before on day 150. I must have picked up Key's Danger in the Deep quest, because after picking the red cabbages and replacing them with yet more starfruit, as well as picking up Evelyn's quest to get her 8 herbs, I headed into the reset mines. It was actually going pretty well and the slime charmer ring was coming in handy, but the dang squids got me and I died. I wouldn't let such a little setback stop me though, and went back in after eating a delicious Fizzy Farm cheese. Abigail, you again? I don't know, maybe the acoustics are good down here. Passed out on level 27 at 2 a.m. The luau took place on day 151, and I was looking forward to flirting with all of my little lovelies again without fear of being given the silent treatment. Before going to the beach, I saw that Maru was asking for someone to give her mushrooms, so I obviously nabbed that quest. Hey Elliot, are your parents bakers? 'Cause you're a cutie pie. Hey Leah, I know you're an artist because you're so good at drawing me in. Hey Sebastian, do you have a map? Because I just got lost in your eyes. This year, I put a gold star cheese into the soup, then hung out with Pam to have a few drinks before asking the governor to try it. Maybe I'll make it a beer soup next year. Since I lost all my spicy eels when I died in the mines 2 days ago, I warped to the desert on day 152 to trade my rubies for more. I tried to give Evelyn her herbs, but apparently she didn't want my lemon thyme. I'll have to try something else some other day. Then it was back to the reset mines, where I died immediately. Thank goodness I didn't lose any items, so I just ate a cheese and kept going, making sure to keep a closer eye on my health. I staircased straight through the disgusting ghost levels and got the Monster Slayer goal for skeletons before passing out on level 75. Day 153 was super lucky, so I replenished my stock of bombs at the dwarf before warping to the desert. In the Skull Caverns, I made sure to slay all the dinos, serpents, and mummies I could, inching closer and closer to finishing those monster eradication goals. and thus to perfection. On day 154, I crafted a couple more crystallariums and 5 bone mills and moved them all to my empty shed. Besides jades, I also put frozen tears and quartz into the machines to get more for drink-making purposes. A fair amount of juices and wines were finished processing and replaced with starfruits and strawberries. It was a big starfruit harvesting day, and there was still enough time in the season to plant one more round. I didn't quite have enough seeds on me, so I visited Sandy to buy more, and since it was a Sunday, I traded 41 jades for staircases at the desert trader while I was there. Once all the seeds were in the ground, I finished the Reset Mines quest with the staircases, earning myself 40 more easy key gems. Made over 300,000 G that night. I used 2 frozen tears to make my first coffee delicacy, cold brew, on day 155. While the coffee maker was working away, I traded in Omni Geodes for 14 artifact troves, then headed to Clint's. Hey Abigail, are you a Wi-Fi signal? Because I'm definitely feeling a connection. I actually got 2 of the last 3 artifacts I needed, an ancient sword, and elvish jewelry, and now only need the shoulder blade to finish that collection. After adding 25 more kegs to the quarry, I tried looking for it in the quarry mines by slaying the flying skulls, but they didn't drop it. Back on the farm, the cold brew coffee bags were ready, and I put the salmonberry wine into the brewing stations to make brandy. It looks like I'll need sugar and milk to turn the coffee into lattes. Then I took Clint's Cave Patrol quest to kill 50 dust sprites before setting sail to the island, where lots of starfruits were ready to be picked. The starfruit picking didn't stop on day 156, and although it sounds kind of boring to say it so often, it continues to be one of the most satisfying things to do in summer. Determined to find the shoulder blade, I hacked away at the bone nodes at the dig site and actually found it. Back on the mainland, the ancient fruit in the greenhouse was also ready to be picked, and I was already giddy to make some more expensive wine. Gunther happily accepted the last artifact and gave me the coveted star drop that reminded me of aspirin. I tried to finish another collection by fishing for the albacore with magic bait again, but it still wouldn't show itself. What a bummer. My first bottles of brandy were ready on day 157, and I made a calico morning blend with vanilla and a sweetheart blend with a strawberry. The ostrich had hatched, and the randomly generated name, Wet Sick, kind of sounds like a slang term for a hangover. I was thinking about keeping it, but decided to go with Paloma instead. Hey Paloma! I finally got around to crafting an oil maker for Shirley's truffles, then saw that the coffee bags were already finished processing, and used cacao pods to make mocha ground coffee. Robin was asking for 80 hardwood, and I handed Mara the 5 mushrooms she had asked for in exchange for 1,250 G. Then I spent the evening in the mines, slaying dust sprites that looked more like mushrooms themselves until I had killed 50 to finish Clint's quest. The coffee making continued on day 158, where I made morning blends by adding some solar essences to my coffee beans, and I found lots of ancient fruit and starfruit wines in my kegs, which I sold to Pierre. I hadn't finished Evelyn's herb quest last time, so I took it again, hoping I would find something she actually wanted. At the ocean, I didn't have to wait long before an albacore finally took the bait, filling in the last empty spot in my fishing log. Of course, this had to be celebrated in the saloon. Hi Gus, gai kuru oskvelichen da? Since the coffee blends were ready, I also got to make my first lattes with milk and sugar. That evening, I started working on filling up the shipping log by shipping one of all kinds of stuff. Yay! Look at these delicious looking lattes. Do you know what the best kind of letter is? The kind that has a star drop in it. Thanks, Willie! More lattes, brandies, and club sodas were ready in the winery on day 159, and I used coconuts to make toasted coconut ground coffee. Thanks to all the things I had shipped the night before, I had enough money to get the island obelisk, the best and most useful one of the 4 you have to get for perfection. Then I just spent the rest of the day chopping hardwood for Robin's quest. On day 160, there were 2 holiday blend ground coffees waiting for me in the coffee machines, and I immediately turned one of them into a latte. I was able to hand in 80 pieces of hardwood to Robin, finishing the job, and I found Sandy's Desert Bloom quest on the special orders board, which tasked me with getting her 5 forest lavenders and 5 forest chamomiles. Evelyn was hanging out in the community center, where I was finally able to hand her the herbs in exchange for 2,000 G. Apparently, it just doesn't work if you have different qualities. Since I already had the flowers in a chest, I took some to the desert and put them into her shelves, netting me 1,600 G. I also got to keg lots more starfruit since the other batch of wines was ready, and I made $250,000 that night. I found some meringue mushroom starters in the mail on day 161. I think they were from Sandy, although she didn't sign the letter. Hey Harvey, you know those gaps between your fingers? I think they were made for mine. I felt like I had enough frozen tears and quartz for drink making, so I added a few more crystallariums to the shed and filled them all with jades. Then all I did for the rest of the evening was put down more pathing around the farm. It was the dwarf's birthday on day 162, so I gave them a nice topaz. Then it was off to the desert and into the skull caverns to face the monsters that were especially deadly thanks to Key's quest that I had taken yesterday. It went really well, seeing as I was able to check the dino, mummy, and serpent eradication goals off of my checklist, meaning I only needed to kill a few more void spirits to officially be a monster slayer hero. Dying on level 129 put a tiny damper on my happiness, but I didn't lose anything important, so it was fine. I collected oak resin before heading to bed for a well-deserved night's rest. Isn't this one of the most satisfying sights? Unfortunately, I still wasn't getting any cocktail quests from Emily on day 163, but I did find one from Demetrius called Tastes Like Chicken to get 15 mushrooms. There was only 1 week of summer left, so I had decided to start planting wheat on my crop fields to keep them tilled for fall. I put some sugar into my brew stations to make rum before heading to Ginger Island to set up a few sprinklers I had found in the skull caverns to expand my starfruit fields. I also bought 2 more Galaxy Souls and 2 Junimo chests from Mr. Key, and took his Prismatic Grange quest. Then I went on a late volcano run, kind of hoping for the hot Java ring, but I didn't get it and passed out before I could get out of there. I went straight to the forge on day 164 and used my 3 Galaxy Souls to make the Infinity Blade. Then tried my luck at getting the hot Java ring again. It didn't work though. After doing my farm chores at home in the valley, I sold Marlin my old weapons and rings and picked up the rewards from Gil. Looks like I only have 45 void spirits to go. I was kind of digging the arcane hat, so I put it on. Then I warped back to the island to forge the slime charmer and napalm rings together. The rum was ready, so I made tequila with cactus fruits and shipped one of every bottle I had to continue to fill up the shipping log. Glowtini gave birth to a baby cow that night that I named Gimlet. I spent the beginning of day 165 working on my quest log. After finishing my chores on the farm, I brought Kent a starfruit he wanted to give to Jody. Nice, but next time you might want to consider getting her a wine. The bear got a maple syrup, and I tried to hand in some common mushrooms to Demetrius, but it wouldn't work. Assuming I would only be allowed to use modded mushrooms, I went to go get some when I found my first tequilas in the brew stations. Then I headed back to the carpenter shop, where I bought the furniture catalog from Robin before handing in the mushrooms, getting over 5,000 G. Then I dove into the mines to finish the Monster Slayer gold for void spirits. One step closer to perfection. There were more mushroom starters in the mail on day 166, this time checking up the wood starters from Demetrius. It was Leo's birthday, who I had been ignoring for the most part up until now. It's nothing personal, it's just that he's a child and thus very uninteresting for my thirsty goals. He can't even have a coffee. A good amount of starfruits were ready to be picked and I crafted 34 more kegs. The quarry was now full, so I had to start lining them up on the road leading to the tunnel. Salvegas, unum serviciam gratias ago tibi. Cheers, Leah! I went to the movies with Pierre, but only because I'm trying to finish off the last few friendships that aren't maxed out. I got him some salted peanuts and some decorations for myself from the Crane game before watching Journey of the Prairie King. That night, Lemon Drop gave birth to a baby sheep named Stormy, like a dark and stormy. Day 167 was a wonderfully thirsty day. My second and last round of summer starfruit on the farm had grown in and was picked. Then it was time for the biggest kegging day I had had in this playthrough. I started by kegging all of my coffee beans, then got to move on to kegging starfruit. Why is this so satisfying? I also finished Key's Prismatic Grange, but realized I don't have a use for his key gems anymore. Made 1.3 million that night. No biggie. The Queen of Sauce taught me how to cook roasted hazelnuts on day 168, and I immediately made a few to give to Kent as love gifts. It was the last day of summer, and after harvesting the final peppers and hops of the year, I decided to take some time to color the chests in front of my house to match the aesthetic I was going for. Since I had given Pierre his missing stock list, I wanted to be prepared for the new season tomorrow and bought all of the fall seeds, as well as the grass starter recipe and some basic cooking ingredients. Using the Wizard's Book of Summoning, I placed the desert and mountain warp obelisks in front of my house, then went to Robin for some house renovations. This definitely won't be needed. No need to scar a child's psyche with my lifestyle choices. Then I decorated around the farm a bit. I'll have to be careful right here so I don't... Great. Okay, I definitely won't make that mistake again. Now that everyone knows what they can expect from me as a lover, I openly flirted with anyone I could at the beach before watching the dance of the moonlight jellies. Hey Penny, I've changed my name to Microsoft. Can I crash at your place tonight? Shane, is summer over? Because I'm about to fall for you. Emily, you're so beautiful that you made me forget my pickup line. Elliot, are you French? Because I fell for you. Leah, I wish I were cross-eyed, so I could see you twice. The first day of fall was uneventful. I chugged my morning espresso, then got to work getting all the seeds in the ground. A new season means a new seasonal cocktail craving. Of course, anything with apple cider would be perfect, but one of my favorites is a twist on a classic Stonewall. I had a couple of hours left at the end of the day to put down a bit more pathing and set up a few bee houses right here. After placing a few more decorations on the morning of day 170, I warped to the island to check on my crops. Marnie, Lewis, why are y'all being so coy? I know what'll help in this situation. Merhaba Gus, ich bin Lütfen. Loosen up, you two. After a plentiful starfruit harvest, I was back in town where I found 2 very tempting quests on the special orders board. Ultimately, I went with the Island Ingredients quest, since it would give me the last crafting recipe I needed, but it was a tough decision because I think the other one would have finally expanded Emily's cocktail stock. Then I once again spent my evening decorating more of the farm, hoping it will be a cozy place to enjoy a nice beverage or two. On day 171, I made flapjacks to make some donut shop ground coffee blends. My greenhouse was full of beautiful produce, and when I took a look at the special orders board, I went with the quest to grow and ship 100 amaranth. Then I decorated a bit more of the farm, planting some tree seeds in different places. I also decided to take the Danger in the Deep quest from Mr. Key again, just in case I want to get more mushroom tree seeds from him to decorate with. Nothing super special or thirsty happened on day 172, since I just spent it in the Skull Caverns, gathering iridium ore to smelt into iridium bars to ship. But Shirley birthed a baby pig I named Mai Tai, which was nice. The Junimos had harvested the bok choy on day 173, so I went to Pierre to buy 100 amaranth seeds for the crop order quest, which I'll be planting whenever I have open spots. Since it was a very lucky day, I started making my way down the dangerous mines, where I died on the spiral floor 19 while being swarmed by the frickin' squids. I ate a cheese and went back in, then passed out on level 28 at 2 a.m. Day 174 was more of the same, fighting my way past the super deadly enemies in the mines. I also decided to gather hardwood while I was on the iron levels and made it to level 55 before 2 a.m. The crop fairy graced me with her presence that night and sprinkled her magic on some of my pumpkins. How nice of her. On day 175, I warped to the desert and traded my 164 jades for staircases, then took them back to the valley and staircased down the rest of the reset mines to finish Key's quest. I noticed it was keg day, meaning I got to collect the deliciously valuable wine, and refill the kegs with even more starfruits and ancient fruits. After picking some crops on the island, I traded my magma caps for pineapple seeds and planted them in their stead, in order to have enough for Caroline's Island Ingredients quest. The Junimos had harvested the first amaranths and cranberries of the season on day 176, and of course I filled up the 24 open spots with more amaranths for Lewis' quest. Since I hadn't gotten around to shipping the wines yesterday, I was looking forward to tonight's paycheck. I was very happy to see Emily's quest on the special orders board to get her 40 different syrups and expand her stock. Excuse me, there's sweet gem berry syrup? I thought this was a good time to see in how far I could decorate the winery, so I bought the wallpaper catalog, but nope. will I need an extra shed for my bar? I had a lot of slime piling up in my chests, so I made 5 egg presses to process it into slime eggs. I went to the Wizards to get the last obelisk on day 177, then went to Sandy's to buy 400 more starfruit seeds to plant on Ginger Island. By then, I had decided that I wanted to stick to my plan of making the winery the bar, and was itching to get to work on decorating it, so that's what I did. The long row of brew stations and bar machines is supposed to be reminiscent of a long bar counter, and this little cutie will be the bartender working it. I wasn't finished before the end of the day, but it was starting to look nice and cozy. After finishing my chores on day 178, which included harvesting my greenhouse ancient fruit, I did a big geode opening at Clint's, netting me more ores, coal, and over 10,000 G from selling all the minerals I didn't need. Then I worked on collecting more decorations for the farm. First, I took the dwarf to the movies where I played the crane game before watching Mysterium with them. Then I collected the 3 secret statues, Ferogomon, Ntguf, and Pinky Lemon. Terra Emily, Uxolu Paloon. I don't want to drink my sangria alone, so here, Clint. I spent the morning of day 179 in the winery. The chest full of drink ingredients was filling up nicely, and I decided that the Tiki Rare Crow will be working the cash register, while Pinky Lemon will be the waiter. A train was passing through, but it didn't drop anything, unfortunately. Other than that, not much happened, except for that I spent the evening in the mines gathering hardwood. On day 180, I harvested more amaranth and picked up the yams and eggplants my Junimos had gotten for me and planted the last of the 100 amaranth seeds. Now I just need to wait for it all to grow. I crafted 3 more brew stations to add to my bar and continued to work on making syrups for Emily. Then Pierre sold me 200 pumpkin seeds and Robin sold me 3 stacks of wood. After sorting and painting the chests in the winery, the herbs and vegetables will be in the green chest, the fruits and flowers in the red one, and the mushrooms and nuts in the orange one. It was back into the mines for more hardwood. My fairy roses were fully grown on day 181, but the Junimos wouldn't come out to pick them since it was raining. Using the wood I bought from Robin, I crafted 45 more kegs and added them to the road. There were so many that they started to overspill into the tunnel. I also bought 2 stove fireplaces from Robin and placed them inside the bar and tried creating a nice seating arrangement outside. I also put down some flower pots with deluxe retaining soil inside the bar, where I was planning on growing some decorative hops and grapes. Day 182 was a very lucky day, but before I could speed off to the desert, I had to take care of my pumpkin harvest, otherwise the second round wouldn't have enough time to grow. I had to buy more seeds from Pierre, but he was taking his sweet time. So I first went to the dwarf to get more bombs, and also took Lewis's Master Forager quest to send the best forage, whatever that means. When I finally had the seeds and put them all in the ground, it was back to the Skull Caverns for more coal and ores. We've now officially reached the part of every perfection playthrough that can get a tad repetitive and tedious, but is still extremely important and satisfying. So I'll just say that day 183 was cake day! Day 184 was an important day, since it was the Stardew Valley Fair and I finally wanted to start advertising my boozy wares in town. Before it started, I traded the mahogany furniture I had placed outside the winery with the walnut set, since I preferred it, and then got to work making my first mocktails and cocktails. Strawberry fajito, mocking mule, citrus smash, cranberry lime spritz, farmer's punch, summer potluck punch, permanent proper, lightning haze, and spirited away. Hugo and I galloped into the town square where I set up my Grange display and was so proud of my first drinks.
Isn't that amazing?
Then I talked to everybody and ate a burger while waiting for Lewis to finish his judging. What do you mean second place? You obviously have no appreciation for the art of mixology. Using the 500 star tokens, I got the triple shot espresso, then went home and put the drinks on the tables outside. At least my patrons will appreciate them, and I don't think the mayor will be a welcome guest. I tried to ship Iridium Forge for the Master Forager's quest on day 185. In my quest log, it specifically asks for Gold Star Forage, but Iridium quality is objectively better, right? I was able to pick and ship lots of pineapples for Caroline's quest as well, and then I continued working on the speakeasy. I planted hops and grape starters I had bought at the general store and added some casks to lean into the rustic look. Then I spent the rest of the evening decorating outside, putting down bits and pieces here and there. So, apparently iridium quality forage doesn't count towards the quest. I shipped all the gold star forage I had and paid the Statue of Uncertainty to change my forage professions. Hey Penny, if you were a flower, you'd be a damn delight. After planting some artichokes, I traded 3 prismatic shards for a magic rock candy and put down more pathing and fence posts around the farm. That night, I stuck with the foraging profession at level 5 to have a chance at double harvests, but chose the tracker profession so that I would be able to get gold star quality. According to my quest log on day 187, I had shipped 31 gold star forageables and had 23 days to gather 69 more. Yikes, that's a minimum of 3 per day and sounds like a real chore. Lewis had sent me a mini shipping bin for shipping 100 amaranth, which would make a nice addition to my animal enclosure. I visited Mr. Key in his walnut room and bought his seasoning, then cooked 2 gold star tropical curries and chowed down on one of them. Of the 4 dishes that boost your foraging, tropical curry gives you the biggest chance to pick up gold star forage. And if you cook it with Key seasoning and are already at level 10, you're technically supposed to have a 50% chance to get gold star forage. Sadly, there just weren't many things lying around today, and I even went to the desert and the island to look around, but had only found 3 gold star items by the end of the day. Day 188 was another day of looking for forageables without really finding any. I even got rid of the debris around Cindersap Forest to have more chances for it to spawn, but at least the 2 modded ones I did find were gold quality, and 1 turned into 2 thanks to my foraging perk. I had taken on the Skull Cavern Invasion quest when I went to Mr. Key, so I would be able to afford more Key seasoning. And since day 189 was a super good luck day, I took hundreds of staircases and a magic rock candy to the Skull Caverns. I had staircased past level 100 by 9:20 AM, getting 40 more key gems, and of course I stayed there for the rest of the day to gather as many goodies as I could. It was an extremely successful run, and I passed out on level 244 at 2 AM. Here's a little look at my Skull Caverns loot on the morning of day 190, including over 600 iridium and almost 80 radioactive ores, 10 prismatic shards, and lots of other nice things. Then it was just another day of doing farm chores, buying sugar to make more syrups, because you might remember that I'm also still working on Emily's quest, and looking for gold star forageables. I still only had 3 by the end of the day. While the forage turnout on Ginger Island disappointed me, the bountiful starfruit harvest most certainly did not. Day 191 may still say 190 at the top, but it was most definitely a lot different from yesterday, because it was Cake Day! I woke up to the Legend achievement on day 192, meaning I had made
10 million gold.
I harvested the last pineapples needed to complete the Island Ingredients quest, and after opening some geodes at Clint's for more coal and ores, I took another look at the special orders board. I've noticed that the new modded quests haven't been showing up ever since I took the Master Forager quest upon myself, which makes me kind of sad since it's taking quite long, and I feel like I might not even be able to finish it in time. Then I spent the remaining hours of the day decorating the farm a bit more. Day 193 was a big day of nothing. After doing my farm chores and putting down a few more decorations, I looked for more forage. At least I got 5 gold star things today. On day 194, I had finally collected enough syrups to finish Emily's quest. 10 mango, orange, peach, and wild strawberry syrups, respectively. When I put them into the saloon fridge, I was given 6,500 G. I guess the real prize is getting to buy more stuff at the saloon. Oh, Emily, I hate to see you go, but I love to watch you walk away. Some hazelnut lattes were waiting for me at my coffee machines, and after collecting them, I put pumpkins, cinnamon, and coffee beans back in to make pumpkin spice ground coffee. I also used the fairy roses from a few days ago to whip up my first pixie bitters, another important ingredient for my drink-making endeavors. The last pumpkin harvest of the season was ready to be picked on day 195. I spent the day decorating on my farm before it was time to head to the Spirits Eve Festival. Hey Shane, you must be made of cheese, because you're looking Gouda tonight. Hey Elliot, it's a good thing I have my library card, because I am totally checking you out. Hey Alex, are you a campfire? Because you're hot, and I want s'more. My reward for making it all the way through the maze was, of course, the golden pumpkin, and I had a drink with my buddy Pam before heading to bed. The last day of fall was a slow one. Since it was a Sunday, I took my jades to the desert to trade them for over 100 staircases and walked onto my island farm teeming with fully grown starfruits. The 160 seeds were not enough to fill up all the empty spots, so I had to go to the oasis to buy more. I spent the evening fishing for the Gourmand frog statue and the foliage print before heading to bed. Winter had arrived on day 197. It instantly put
me in the mood for an amaretto sour that has a nice almondy flavor. There were no crops to take care of this season, so I visited my animals in their barn before heading out to see if I could find Gold Star modded winter forageables. I must say, it makes me kind of sad that iridium forage, which is obviously better than gold forage, doesn't count for this quest, and it's feeling like an impossible task. After getting a butterfly hutch for 200 bat wings, I decided to work on the last few friendships I had to max out. Krobus got a birthday horseradish, and Jas and the wizard were also very happy with their gifts, and now loved me to the max. That meant I was just missing Pierre, Kent, the dwarf, and Leo.
Day 198 was a super lucky day and I was completely out of coal, so it was the perfect day for a nice stroll through the Skull Caverns. I staircased down the first 100 levels or so until the iridium became more plentiful, then got to work collecting whatever was lying around. It just so happens that a lot of those things were prismatic shards, which I was definitely not mad at. It went quite well, as you can see by the contents of my backpack on the morning of day 199. It was another lovely wine day, and I decided to process my coffee beans, pumpkins, and artichokes before adding more starfruits to the kegs. On my way into town, I saw that I was finally offered a new quest to get Emily 40 mixers for cocktails, and was sure that I'd be able to finish it very soon. So I got to work making 10 ginger ales, tonic waters, and club sodas, and bought 10 Joja Colas from the vending machine at the saloon. Hey Emily, you know what you would look really beautiful in? My arms. Excuse me, Leah, but I think you dropped something. My jaw. So I've put some thought into who I want to marry in this thirsty playthrough, and I think I found the perfect candidate. Someone who's loved by all. Someone who will accept me for who I am and won't mind my promiscuous tendencies. Someone who won't go around telling my side pieces that I'm officially taken. It's Krobus, of course, who accepted my void pendant, agreed to move in, and just as I had planned, wanted to keep it a secret.
Isn't that amazing?
Sounds good to me, you little cutie. But it looks like we're going to have to work on your drink preferences. The cherry on top of this wonderful day were the 1.3 million gold I made that night. On day 200, I added 30 more kegs to the tunnel, where it was starting to get crowded, then found my finished tonic waters and club sodas in the winery. While doing my daily rounds of trying to find Gold Star forage, I gave Leo a mango and asked him to go to the movies with me. So after dropping off the drinks at the saloon and getting another 6500 G, I played the crane game for a bit before watching the Zuzu City Express while Leo munched on his magic rock candy. Seeing as I already had a lot of kegs, I decided to collect my oak resin for the last time and took down all of the trees to make more room for forage to spawn. I'm getting desperate. Day 201 was full of nothingness, just me and Hugo looking for non-existent forageables. I wanted to drown my sorrows at the saloon, where I took a look at Emily's expanded mocktail stock, had a wild mango cooler, and decided to hand out a round of beer to everyone there. Aloha Gus, umi pia e olu olu. Hey Leah, what's it like to be the most gorgeous person in this room? Krobus had moved in on day 202, and I was thrilled, not least because he gave me a delicious poppy seed muffin right away. I returned the favor and gave him one of his favorites, then took care of the farm. The special orders board had a new quest from Emily, who was asking for 40 juices. Luckily, I had enough pineapples stored away in a chest to make them right away and hand them into the saloon, netting me a measly 2500 G. My mining chest was full of iridium ore, and the 10 furnaces I had weren't smelting it fast enough, so I crafted 14 more. Now that Krobus was here, I wanted to start working on the interior of our home to make it nice for him. But progress was slow since it had gotten late and was very dark inside. I put down some random lamps to brighten the place up a bit, but only managed to put down some wallpaper and flooring before it was time for bed. Good morning, roomie. Have a horseradish. The wallpaper I had chosen for the kitchen wasn't sparking joy, so I changed it again. Who else is infuriated by the fact that it can be such a struggle to achieve symmetry with the rugs and furniture? I ultimately decided on this layout for now before I headed out to collect my finished vegetable juices and keg more starfruits. Of course, juice isn't as profitable as wine, but 300,000 G is nothing to sneeze at. Before heading to the ice fishing competition on day 204, which I had skipped last year, I shipped 100 iridium bars and said hi to my boozy animals. Hey Elliot, are you a fishing line? Because you've got me hooked. Hey Maru, do you like sushi? Because I'd love to roll with you. Despite the unfair head start that Elliot and Willie always get, I beat the competition and took home the sailor's cap and various tackles. I thought about leaning into the sexy sailor trope, since I was getting tired of the arcane hat anyways, but immediately decided to put my trusty forager's hat back on. With the few hours I had left in the day, I decorated more of the kitchen and planted some of the mushroom starters in garden pots. Taking a look at my quest log on day 205, I saw I had 5 more days to ship 40 gold star forageables. This was the point at which I finally decided to avoid this quest and just stockpile gold star forage until I had enough to take the quest again. My animals were out of hay, but Marnie decided to not work today, and walked right past me. Lady, you have one job. Leo finally decided to move to the valley today, and when I walked onto the beach on Ginger Island, I found Marnie there and bullied her a bit more. Then I just decorated another little area on the farm before bed. Pam the goat sent me a beer in the mail on day 206, which I drank right away. Yes, it might be a bit early, but tap beer is always best at its freshest. Well, hello Marnie, how ever so gracious of you to sell me some hay so I can feed my starving animals. Then I spent all day decorating our house, which somehow always takes me forever, so I had only gotten this far when I passed out. Days 207 and 208 were basically more of the same, where I just continued decorating the house and really wished I could give Krobus a bed. Shadow people also deserve a comfortable night's rest. Emily was offering a new quest called A Dream of Winter, to find a drink for the ancient people of the valley and put 5 of them into the saloon fridge and give 1 to the person who stands closest to the artifacts of the past. Let me just say, I love this idea to make it more of a riddle instead of just outright saying, give Pam a beer or whatever. Taking a look at the drink recipes, I found the Blue Island Cooler, which has a description that says no one knows the origin, but the recipe has been passed down for generations. It sounded pretty fitting and required ancient fruit syrup, something that I only had 3 of at the moment. I made as many as I could and was able to put them in the fridge. Now I just had to think about who stands closest to the artifacts. Gunther? But he can't be gifted. This was my progress on the farmhouse by the end of day 208. It's coming together, just really, really slowly. Day 209 would be a day to remember, as Krobus gifted me with my last star drop.
Isn't that amazing?
The ancient fruit syrups and some hazelnut ground coffee I had made were waiting for me in the winery. I shipped one of the bags and turned the other one into a latte to ship, which officially marked the full shipment of all of the coffee drinks. Theoretically, I also had special quests related to the coffee mod, but hadn't seen any yet. Hopefully I'll find them next year. After handing in the last 2 Blue Island coolers to the saloon, I still didn't know who stood closest to the artifacts. You can't even get to Gunther behind his desk, and I thought about Sam, who works as a janitor in the museum, but that didn't work either. I'd have to think about this a bit more. Other than that, I just bought some decorations from Robin and the dwarf, and fished up the squirrel figurine on the island. Day 210 was keg day! I was actually finished pretty quickly, so I still had a few hours in the day to make the farm feel more homey and welcoming. I got rid of some of the pathing right here so I would be able to plant a banana sapling, but realized I didn't have one at the moment and wanted to get one from the island trader soon. To be honest, I kind of forget about it, but I'll be sure to add it in the next 100 days. Gotta love that wine money. It was the start of the night market on day 211, which is one of my favorite events of the year. I passed the time before it started by doing my farm chores and finishing the cocktail quest. I'll be honest, I cheated and looked at the mod file. Apparently it's referring to Sandy, which I would have never guessed on my own. Finishing it got me 3000 G. I also decided to get to work on crafting all of the recipes and made pretty good headway, but was missing fiber, hardwood, and coal to finish everything. Then Hugo took me to the beach where we bought lots of decorations, a coffee, and Lupini's painting before diving into the reset mines for the missing crafting materials. Day 212 was another very lucky day, having me staircased on the Skull Caverns, where I was hoping to find lots of coal and iridium. Once I was out of staircases, I downed a magic rock candy for increased luck, and I think these results really speak for themselves. On day 213, I was just about to head back into the mines for more fiber when I realized there was a much smarter way to go about this and went back to the farm, where I crafted and planted 336 fiber seeds. I wouldn't harvest it until the 1st of spring though, so the soil would be pre-tilled and watered for the spring seeds. The rest of the day was very chill, and I spent my evening at the night market, where I bought the new Lupini painting and picked up another coffee. The mayor had sent me a letter on day 214 saying Pierre was my Secret Santa gift recipient. It was a bummer, since I only needed more hearts with Kent, Leo, and the dwarf. The desert trader gave me another magic rock candy for 3 prismatic shards, then I bought 2 movie tickets for Kent and myself. Don't take this the wrong way, Jody, I would invite you to if I could. Of course, I had to play the crane game for a bit before buying Kent a Star Drop sorbet, a treat almost everybody loves, and watching the Zuzu City Express with him. Then it was back to decorating the farmhouse. In case it wasn't clear already, I'm going for a blue and brown color scheme. It's all kinds of mismatched, but that's okay. I think that makes it look cozier. One part of perfection I had kind of been ignoring up until now was cooking, of all things. I wanted to save my cocktail making for better occasions and focused on the food you can make in the kitchen for now. Luckily, I had saved lots of the crops and fish required and was able to cook a good amount, and after buying some basic ingredients from Pierre, I was also able to make a lot of the sweet dishes. But of course, I realized that I was missing a few crops, those being cauliflower, green beans, and corn, as well as some fish. So I wanted to make sure to take care of those things soon. Also, I saw that there were modded dishes I still had to learn the recipes for, so I was interested to see how those would come into play. On the morning of day 216, I went straight to Pierre to buy the missing crops and went to the island, but there were no open spots at the moment, so I would have to wait a bit to plant them. I used some frozen tears to make more club sodas, and then it was time for Cake Day! Krobus proved he is the best roommate on day 217, and I decided to save his lucky lunch for a different day and instead eat the survival burger I had cooked yesterday to do some foraging. I'm trying to stock up on Gold Star forage, so the next time I take the Master Forager Challenge, I'll be ready and have it all stored away in a chest. Speaking of special orders board quests, I'm kind of sad to say that I haven't had a quest provided by my mods in a long time, and I'm kind of worried that there's something I'm doing wrong. Gus had sent me a letter asking for a coconut for a Coco No-No, which sounds amazing, and I really hope he'll share his recipe with me. Some starfruits were fully grown on Ginger Island, so I was also able to plant the missing cooking ingredients. Then I started putting pasts down here in front of my greenhouse and keg shed. After having my morning espresso on day 218, I picked the mushrooms growing in my kitchen for the first time. A gold quality one. That's interesting. Some new club sodas were ready, meaning I could make a wild melon cooler, the single mocktail recipe I was able to make in my kitchen for some reason. While doing my farm chores, Hugo galloped right over a fish pond, and although I couldn't make him do it again, I think my horse might be Jesus. Hey dwarf, have a topaz. Hello Leo, care for a mango? Nothing much else happened that day, except for that I harvested and replanted more starfruit and crafted most of the missing recipes, except for the ones that needed fiber, of course. I continued working on my friendships on day 219. I took Leo to the movies, bought him a cotton candy, and we watched Zuzu City Express, which he enjoyed. I was super excited to find the sweet gemberry syrup as part of Emily's stock, and bought 10 so I don't have to make it myself. Can you imagine having to grow 3 sweet gem berries just to make 1 syrup? This inspired me to start making some beverages, and I whipped up an apple ginger fizz, an apricot blitz, a blackberry mint refresher, a cocoa loco, and a mermaid lagoon. Sadly, my progress was stymied by the lack of citrus fruits, which motivated me to clear out some of the debris in Cindersap Forest to make more room for forage to spawn. Day 220 was super lucky, so after buying some bombs from the dwarf, I warped to the desert for another Skull Caverns run. I got a lucky ring to drop from slaying an iridium bat, which I didn't even know could happen. There was a red cowboy hat in a chest that I put on right away. It looks spicy. just like me. Hey Santa baby. On day 221, I headed into town with a rabbit's foot in my pockets to celebrate the Feast of the Winter Star. Hey Alex, if you were a Christmas ornament, you'd be the star on top of my tree. Hey Harvey, if you were a Christmas cookie, you'd be a gingerbread cutie. I gave Pierre the rabbit's foot and was surprised by Maru with an emerald. Do you like the song Jingle Bells? Because you're making my heart go jingle all the way. Once again, I kind of felt out of place at this festival that focuses so heavily on family, especially since Krobus doesn't come to these get-togethers, so I just ended up chatting with Linus and Leo before going home. I decided that I wouldn't just wait to get lucky with the citrus forage and bought another lemon and lime sapling to add to the greenhouse on day 222. After all, citrus is always an essential part of drink building. I also made a few more pomegranate and mango syrups since I was running low. Good lord, I don't want to do the biome balance quest again, just give me a cool new cocktail quest. Then I decorated some more outside of the greenhouse that evening, adding more pathing and of course a trusty seating arrangement. Give me a K.
K.
Give me an E.
E.
Give me a G.
G.
What does that spell? Wine money. Day 224 was the last day of the year. The Queen of Sauce taught me her last recipe and I said hi to my roomie, then cooked a fiddlehead risotto, a shrimp cocktail, a bruschetta, and a mango sticky rice. I still have a few recipes to go, but that was all I could do for now. After replenishing my supply of collet clints and trading over 300 jades for staircases, I tried to fish for the pyramid decal but didn't hook it. So at some point, I gave up and bought an unhealthy amount of rhubarb seeds from Sandy in preparation for the new season. The last hours of the day were spent hanging out with one of the best people in Stardew Valley and a refreshing beverage. Yasugas, mia bira paracolo. Grandpa and Mr. Key came to me in my sleep that night and were very satisfied with Fizzy Farm's progress, all thanks to my never-ending thirst. To start off, I had to get reacquainted with the save file since it had been a while. My shipping log was missing a mead, a lemon, and something added by the newly installed Love Festival that I won't spoil yet. My relationships were thriving, but I still needed to get Leo, Kent, and the dwarf to max hearts. I had crafted everything except for a germ block, a worm bin, a couple of warp totems, and a gold brazier, all of which required fiber. And there were still a few vanilla recipes and lots of drinks that were missing. I also still have no clue what these grayed out recipes are supposed to be, but maybe I'll get them from finishing modded special quests. After saying good morning to Krobus, who wouldn't hug me until I gave him a horseradish, I came outside to 4 candles being lit up around Grandpa's shrine. Hugo and I went to go pick up the Statue of Perfection, then I scythed the fiber I had planted last year. I was happy to find my lemon tree fully grown and bearing its first fruit that I would ship for the shipping log. My boozy animals were happy to be back outside again, and while planting my ridiculous amount of rhubarbs, I was starting to crave a caipirinha, the national cocktail of Brazil. I crafted the last crafting recipes, but didn't get the achievement, so I'm going to have to see which one I'm missing. But for now, it was off to the saloon. Hi Gus, sex biorotach. One for each of you and one for me. Last year, I had been yearning for more cocktail special orders from the cool mod I had installed, and today I finally found one, called A Dream of Spring, tasking me to find a drink that's playful and reminiscent of forest magic. I was supposed to bring 5 to the saloon and 1 to the person who speaks the language of the forest spirits. After looking at all the drinks, I assumed it was hinting at Jumping Junimo and the Wizard. On day 226, I made the first syrups of the year, then warped to the island farm where I got rid of the weeds that were encroaching on my lovely star fruits. The ingredients I needed for the last vanilla cooking recipes were fully grown, and while I was there, I checked the perfection tracker in Key's walnut room. It told me I was at 84%, and besides the shipping, cooking, friends, and golden clock, which I knew weren't quite finished yet, the crafting also seemed to be incomplete. I really hope I'll be able to find out what it is I'm missing, as I'm pretty sure I have all the vanilla crafting recipes. Back in the valley, the kids taught me how to clean spring onions, which is useless information at pretty much any stage in the game. Hey Leah, I'd take you to the movies, but they don't let you bring your own snacks. So instead, I took Kent, where I treated him to a Star Drop sorbet and we watched a movie I had never seen before. Natural Wonders Exploring Our Vibrant World. While making new syrups on day 227, I saw that the chests in the winery were getting pretty full, so I moved all of the Gold Star forage I'm hoarding to a different chest. You might remember from last year that there's a quest that tasks you with shipping 100 Gold Star forageables, and it felt pretty impossible to get it all in 28 days. As you can see, I still have a long ways to go before I'll feel comfortable taking on that challenge again. Hey Haley, did we go to school together? I swear we had chemistry. I took a look at the special orders board, but it only had the dreaded Master Forager challenge, so I ignored that for now. Hey Harvey, I'm writing an article on the finer things in life and was hoping I could interview you. The sewers had become much less inviting now that Krobus wasn't here anymore, but I needed to fish for lots of carp for cooking purposes. Once I had 4, I went back home and cooked a carp surprise, a super meal, and a cranberry candy, making a bit of progress towards cooking completion. On the morning of day 228, Krobus told me I started nibbling on him during the night. I'm so sorry, Arumi. I know we're strictly platonic, and I will try my best to keep it that way. Pam was looking for the strong stuff, and of course, I happily took the quest. Then gave Kent a birthday bowl of roasted hazelnuts, which maxed out his friendship. Maraban gas, biratun wahidatun min fadlika. Caroline was trying to take a nap while standing around, so it looks like I'm not the only sleepwalker. Hey Penny, if being beautiful was a crime, you'd be guilty as charged. Hey Alex, my sweet tooth has been driving me crazy since the second I saw you. I had seen the trash bear hanging out in Cindersap Forest and knew it wanted an eel, so I used a rain totem to be able to get on that tomorrow. Using a flounder I had found in a chest on Ginger Island, I cooked a seafoam pudding, then used magic bait and fished at the river for the whole day until a salmon finally took the bait so I could cook a salmon dinner. Day 229 was extremely busy. The ancient fruit in my greenhouse was fully grown, and normally I would have kegged the harvest, but I sold it straight to Pierre, which put me over 10 million gold. Before I left, I bought potato seeds for Pam's quest, then took off to the Wizard's Tower with Hugo. Hey Abigail, I'd give up my morning cereal to spoon you instead. On my way there, I checked out the traveling cart lady's stock and bought a largemouth bass so I wouldn't have to fish for it. Then I made Rasmodius the richest person in town when I forked over my hard-earned savings for the golden clock. I quickly cooked up a crispy bass before Hugo took me to the railroad where I used some cherry bombs on the pathing I had left there last year to speed up its removal. I did a bit more fishing today, first catching that eel and then eating the seafoam pudding from yesterday to be able to hook the iridium Krobus. And finally, I planted the potato seeds on my island farm and put my roomie's likeness next to this gaudy debris repellent before heading to bed. The kegs were finished processing whatever I had put in them at the end of the last year on day 230. And of course I didn't have enough stuff to refill them all because I sold all the ancient fruit yesterday. Having this many empty kegs is just so sad. Giving the trash bear everything they wanted took all day. After chowing down on the eel, they wanted a bream, and I was pleased that they even asked for one of my lovely drinks, even though it was nothing fancy, just a pineapple juice. Lastly, I grabbed some crab cakes out of my gifts chest, since Elliot is normally the one who likes to eat these. As always, my reward was a cleaner town and a happy Dusty. The shipped wines blessed me with 1.7 million gold. On day 231, I decided to change the mod settings for the daily special orders because I felt like I wasn't making quick enough progress, especially if there were any crafting recipes that I'd need for perfection. After making some more syrups, I traded my 100 jades for staircases at the Desert Trader, then tried to speedrun the volcano to look for the hot Java ring. Welp, wrong ring. Back in the valley, I took Evelyn's Leaks for George quest off of the special orders board, then fished at the ocean with some magic bait until I had a sea cucumber in my pockets. Hey Sebastian, we go together like peanut butter and jelly. There were already tons of leeks in my gifts chest, so I handed them into Evelyn and would only have to focus on the gathering part now. I used the sea cucumber to cook a lucky lunch, which meant I just needed a rhubarb for a rhubarb pie and a tuna for a fish taco to finish the vanilla cooking recipes. I had been diligently collecting the lemons and limes from my trees outside and was able to make a few lime and lemon juices on day 232, which I had been sorely missing for Emily's cocktail quest. I needed 2 more lemon juices, so 4 more lemons, to be able to complete it. Master Forager again? Come on, y'all, give me something doable. Hey Abigail, my name isn't Elmo, but you can tickle me anytime you want. Hey Maru, kiss me if I'm wrong, but dinosaurs still exist, right? It took me the rest of the day to fight my way through the volcano, where I only found a chest with an ostrich egg in it. My bee houses have been producing honey for quite some time now, obviously, and now that I finally had some empty kegs, I remembered to turn them into mead to be able to ship one for completion's sake soon. I was just heading through the backwoods on my way to give Leo a gift, when I saw that he was learning things from lots of people around the valley. This is always such a touching scene, and I think we all know what he learned from me. Good job, kid. Next time, hit her with a cute pickup line, like this. Hey Sam, I think I saw you on Spotify. You were listed as the hottest single. I checked out Emily's cocktail and mocktail inventory where I actually found lemon juice and bought 20 right away. Hi Gus, tolong dua gelas bir. This is for you, Emily. You're a lifesaver. I headed back to my own bar to make the jumping Junimos, put 5 in the saloon fridge, and gave 1 to Rasmodius, netting me 3,000 G. The money I get for these quests is pretty negligible and basically always the same amount, so I won't mention it anymore from now on. Handing out the jumping Junimos inspired me to try out the saloon games and stick with the Junimo theme. I'm not exaggerating, this is honestly how bad I am at this game. I just keep jumping into the void as if I'm aiming for it. Thus, it was a huge success for me to pass the first level, even though I died pretty quickly after making it to slippery slopes. Clint, I think I can empathize with you more now. We both try our hardest, but it's just not good enough to get what we want. I tried to make myself feel better by starting to decorate this upper left room with some wall sconces and new wallpaper and flooring. Day 234, I had another sizable starfruit harvest on Ginger Island to put into my kegs soon, and 11 of the 12 potatoes I needed for Pam were also fully grown. I put down some red cabbage seeds I had lying around in a chest, but didn't plant anything else, since I wanted to start decorating the island farm at some point and didn't really need more money. I also checked the perfection tracker again. Thanks to the progress I had made in cooking and friendships, and getting the golden clock of course, I was now at 96%. While putting the potatoes into kegs to make potato juice, I wondered why Pam hadn't just asked for vodka. I'm continuing to put different stuff into my brew stations to have as many cocktail ingredients on hand as possible, and it's all coming along quite nicely. You probably don't remember, but I had cleared some pathing off of my farm last year to be able to plant a non-existent banana sapling, and today was the day I went to go get it from the island trader and planted it. Then I decorated a bit more in this room, which is supposed to turn into a little bar to sit at while sipping tasty drinks. There was finally a new quest from Emily on the special orders board on day 235. She was asking for different kinds of spirits, 15 rums, tequilas, and brandies. I got on it right away, buying sugar from Pierre to put into the brew stations for rum. At the desert, I picked up any cactus fruits I could find to be able to make tequila, and in the quarry, I kicked some plums to make cheap wine for brandy. Pam and I have so much in common. Hi Gus, kripya char bir. Wish me luck, y'all. After a few bad attempts, I not only got through the slippery slopes, but I also passed the gemsy giant that was constantly blowing kisses at me, which was cute and all, but her love bubbles were deadly, and made it to the 4th level, Ghastly Galleon. I didn't even die right away either, which was really confusing to me since it was going so much faster than the other levels. Whoop whoop. Before hitting the hay, I did a tiny bit more decorating in this little room and was pretty much done with it by bedtime. The rums were ready on day 236, and I had to make a few more, but also made sure to add some cactus fruits to my brew stations for tequila. Most of the starfruits and the last potatoes were ready to be picked on the island, and I started taking down some of the unnecessary sprinklers. While I was there, I decided to go on another trek through the volcano, which left me ringless once again. The few kegs I had filled with starfruits were ready and refilled with my latest harvest. The 3rd egg festival of this save file would take place on day 237. I wish I could take Krobus with me. I made a few more tequilas and brandies before leaving, and sadly I'm out of cactus fruits, but hope I'll get lucky in the desert over the next few days. Hugo took me into town where I bought 400 strawberry seeds and 3 of these cute little banners from Pierre, then talked to Gus and my side pieces. Hey Harvey, I just wanted to tell you that you're really excellent. Hey Sam, are you an Easter egg? Because I've been looking everywhere for you. I took a look at my friendships and I think everyone's at max hearts. I participated in the egg hunt again, even though this is the 2nd time in a row that Lewis has ignored my suggestion to offer eggnog at this festival. I know it's more of a winter thing, Lewis, but it would fit the theme, and it really wouldn't hurt to spice things up around here. I've been picking these mushroom plants whenever they're ready, and of course it's pretty slow going, but it is nice to get gold star forage from them every now and again to add to my stockpile. I will become a master forager, and if it's the last thing I do. I picked the fully grown rhubarb and planted strawberry seeds in their stead, then found 11 of the 12 potato juices I needed for Pam in the keg shed. After dropping off the 15 bottles of rum, I decided to stick around and play some more Junimo Kart. I made it to the Gem Sea Giant once or twice, but never got any further than that. At least the desert was kind to me and gave me a few cactus fruits that I turned into more tequila. I also made my first citrus bitters, now that I didn't have to turn all of my lemons into lemon juice, and a fruity lemon smash, just because I liked the look of it and wanted to add it to my little bar counter in my house. I also planted some decorative cacti around the house, which would also give me cactus fruits for more tequila. Win-win. I didn't necessarily achieve a lot on day 239, but I was daydreaming about what I wanted my boozy mountaintop farm to look like, especially now that I had plenty of money, meaning things could become less efficient. Take this shed for example. Do I really still need to process all of my fish roe and collect hundreds of jades? Sure, I already got rid of the big field of starfruits on Ginger Island, but I still have my greenhouse ancient fruit and will always be growing something to keg. After opening 2 more disappointing chests in the volcano, I warped back home, picked up some of these unnecessary machines, and placed a variety of lamps and braziers around the farm in an attempt to make it more cozy. Day 240 started with a literal fruitless trip to the desert. Cactus fruit. The last potato juices were ready, so I headed into town. Hey Shane, anyone who says Disneyland is the happiest place on earth has clearly never stood next to you. After putting them in Pam's kitchen, I went up through the backwoods and was just about to get mad at Abigail for walking through the last leek I would have had to pick up for Evelyn, but there was another one right next to it, so we're still good. That meant that on day 241, I found Evelyn's wonderful coffee maker in my mailbox, which I put into the kitchen straight away. I had decided that some animals weren't fitting the thirsty theme, and while I didn't get rid of all of them quite yet, I did dejectedly say goodbye to Stormy, Mai Tai, Lemon Drop, and Slammer. They had to be sacrificed so I had room to add more cows to the barn. After all, milk and cream are 2 important drink-making ingredients. Hello Southside, cachaça, bramble, and mezcal. I also decided to finally get some blue chickens, since egg white is also part of any good mixologist's pantry. Please welcome Clover, like a Clover Club, Frenchie, like a French 75, OJ, unlike the guy, and Zombie. The special orders board finally had 2 coffee quests to choose from, and I went with Haley's Sorry I'm Latte to get her 5 Sweetheart blends, which can be made by putting strawberries and coffee beans into the coffee brewers. The crystallariums, loom, and oil makers moved from the shed into the barn, but putting them down kind of got complicated when the animals just started appearing out of thin air. I saw that the first coffee bags were already finished and stood around for 1.5 hours until the plum wines had finished processing, so I could move them into the brew stations to make brandies before going to bed. The next day, I downloaded the Lookup Anything mod to try to find out more about the missing crafting recipe. I had never used it before, and apparently you can't just look up recipes you don't have yet. But by looking at wood, I found this floral scarecrow that I have no idea how to get access to. I'll have to look into it more soon. The brandies were ready, and I only needed 1 more cactus fruit to have enough tequila for Emily. After saying hi to all my new animals, I sold Paloma and Mimosa, since I doubt anyone wants ostrich or void egg in their whiskey sour. But I kept their eggs in a chest just in case I need them for something later on. Haley's Sweetheart lattes were waiting for me in the coffee brewers, but before I could go give them to her, I took a look at the train passing through. Huh, another pair of leprechaun shoes. Hey Sebastian, they say the human body is 70% water, and I'm feeling pretty thirsty. Coincidentally, he was offering a special order called Rise and Grind, asking for lots of different coffee blends. Haley got her lattes, then I started getting to work on Sebastian's quest. Haley moved up on my list of favorite bachelorettes real quick when I found a hot Java ring from her in the mail on day 243. Looks like I won't be needing this napalm ring anymore. I also remembered that I still had a lucky ring in a chest at home and might replace the slime charmer ring with it soon. After making some more coffee blends and another round of kegging my delectable produce, I decided to turn my second shed into a coffee roasting shop. Of course, I needed a chest to hold all my coffee-making goodies and moved the coffee brewers into it. I also put down a few crystallariums with frozen tears to have cold brew ingredients on hand at all times. I would get around to decorating it soon, but it was pretty dark at the moment, so instead I did something I normally never do. Usually, earning 10 million gold and buying the golden clock is the last thing I have to do for perfection, and then I just start a new save file. This time was different, so I was already quite rich again and headed to Krobus's box in the sewers to buy the return scepter. Marnie was asking for someone to get her 4 lattes, which was an easy task that I'd be able to finish soon. Then I played a late round of Junimo Kart. I made it to Slomp Stomp twice, and the Gemsy Giant once, but never survived. Being able to warp home is amazing, and I don't ever want to have to live without it anymore. Day 244, Krobus decided to do a bit of decorating. This is a great spot to put a morning coffee roomie. Now that I had a dino egg to add to my egg collection, I sold Grasshopper too, even though it felt sacrilegious. A good chunk of the day was spent working on the special orders. I needed pancakes for the donut shop coffee blend Sebastian wanted, and once it was ready, I was able to hand him all of the coffee bags. I also finally had enough tequilas and thus all the spirits Emily had asked for, so I put them in the fridge at the saloon. Bokas, jedno pivo molem. It was nice to see Caroline and Demetrius enjoying the island bar too. Most of the farmland on the island was empty by now, so I started putting down sprinklers with pressure nozzles in a way that I wanted to have everything laid out. Sebastian had sent me 5 triple shot espressos as a thank you for the coffee blends on day 245, and Marnie got the lattes she had asked for. Harvey was looking for different kinds of ground coffees, and that was easy enough, so I started working on those right away. I was also itching to start decorating the coffee shop and tried out different wallpapers and floorings until I found a combination I liked and hid the crystallariums behind some bookshelves. I wanted to add more coffee brewers as well, but didn't have enough hardwood. So after giving Harvey his ground coffees, I planted a couple of mahogany trees in the desert. Day 246 was a very lucky day, and I thought it was the perfect opportunity to put my new hot Java ring to use in the Skull Caverns. Not only did I get a good amount of coffee from the slain monsters, but also lots of chests and a couple of prismatic shards. So I would say it went really well. That is until I died at 1:50 a.m. and lost my infinity blade and all the coffees, and passed out right next to a bed in the hospital. On day 247, I harvested the last starfruits on the island farm, then decided to forge my lucky ring onto the hot Java ring, because surely something like yesterday wouldn't have happened if I had had more luck, right? Mr. Key was offering Let's Play a Game, which tasks you with getting over 50,000 points in Junimo Kart Endless mode. Normally I just ignore this one, but maybe it'll help me practice. After picking the strawberries, coffee, and ancient fruit on Fizzy Farm, I replaced the gin with some potatoes for vodka, then paid Marlon a visit and asked him to go get my infinity blade. Hey Penny, I'm no organ donor, but I'd be happy to give you my heart. Pierre was looking for 8 coffee blends, and of course I happily obliged. Peshandetje Emily, nie bierę ju lutem. I was able to get a little over 30,000 points on Endless mode a few times, but never more than that. The Gemsy Giant just wouldn't let me through. It was time for the annual flower dance on day 248, and before heading off, I found my infinity blade in the mail. Thank you, Marlon. Hey Emily, if you were a transformer, you'd be Optimus Fine. Hey Elliot, if you were a flower, I'd pick you. I was unsure who I should dance with this year, but decided on Haley as a thank you for gifting me the hot Java ring. Either I'm getting better at dancing, or my awkward moves are just less noticeable from the back. Afterwards, I made sure to take a look at the special orders board and saw Sandy was looking for 3 cold brews. I was wondering why I just happened to start getting all of these coffee quests all of a sudden, and looking back on it, I guess I had to get Evelyn's coffee machine first. It's really interesting to see how these modded quests work. On day 249, I decided I didn't need as many metal bars anymore, so I took down most of the furnaces to make it look a little nicer and less cluttered up here. I worked on making some ground coffees for Pierre and cold brews for Sandy, then warped to the island where I planted coffee, strawberries, and meringue mushroom starters. The mushrooms might seem like a weird choice, but I was hoping it would help me with the Master Forager quest. Day 250 was wine day, and although I didn't feel like refilling the kegs, I did collect it all and sold it to Pierre. While I was there, I bought some wheat and pumpkin seeds for the island farm. Wheat for gin and pumpkins for pumpkin spice lattes. Then I sat in the saloon for a bit, watching guests come in and thinking about what cocktails might match them best. Hey Abigail, you owe me a drink, cause when I saw you, I dropped mine. As you can see by my high scores on Junimo Kart Endless mode, I still had a ways to go before I would be able to beat Lewis. The good news is that I'm slowly but surely getting used to the jumping mechanics, and know how long I have to press the button to actually make the jumps. so I can pretty consistently make it past crumbling caverns and slippery slopes. The bad news is that I still wasn't close to beating the mayor by the time I gave up. To console myself, I spend the last hours of the day decorating more of my coffee shop before warping to bed with my trusty return scepter. Day 251, I harvested the last round of strawberries of the season, then planted a couple of coffee beans and tea saplings in the coffee shed to always have access to fresh ingredients. I also planted 48 blueberry seeds on the island since they're used in some cocktail recipes. I wasn't digging the wallpaper in the coffee shed anymore since it didn't feel rustic enough, and ultimately decided on this one. Once I had put a few fish in the fish tank, I hired HXW as the barista and put down a few more decorations, and by the end of the day, I felt like my cafe was ready for business. Day 252 was the last day of spring, and the empty kegs were making my thirsty heart sad. So even though I didn't need the money, I kegged all the rhubarbs and strawberries I had lying around. And to be honest, I was really looking forward to the new season, because the special orders board hadn't had a cocktail quest in quite some time, and I was hoping that that would change in summer. I wanted to do something fun with one of my lovelies, so I asked Alex if he wanted to go to the movies with me. Had I known that they would be playing the nature documentary, I would have asked someone else, because of course he found it pretty boring. But at least he liked the salmon burger I got him. Then I played Junimo Kart for the next 1.5 hours without getting enough points to beat Lewis. That man obviously has too much free time on his hands. Konnichiwa, Emily. Biru o ippai kudasai. Summer was here, and I heard a porn star martini calling my name, whilst I scythed down all the dead strawberries. When I warped to the desert, I found loads of mahogany trees fully grown and had to chop them down before heading to the oasis to buy the first round of summer starfruit seeds. Once they were all in the ground, I took a look at the special orders board and was delighted to see that both quests were related to cocktails. I took the one called A Dream of Summer, where Emily was asking for a drink for the melodic people of the waves, which can only mean mermaids. She also wanted me to give one to the one who rides the swell of the sea without fear. Obviously, that's Willy. Looking at the drink recipes, I thought it could only be referring to a mermaid lagoon, and since I had been stocking up on drink ingredients, I was able to make 6 right away and put 5 into the saloon fridge. On my way to find Willy, I watched my roommate being swept away by a sea monster. He seemed happy enough though, so I wasn't too worried. Willy was also pleased when I gave him the mocktail. I wanted to speed up the special orders board even more, just to make sure I see as many quests as I can before the series comes to a close, so I clicked the refresh immediately box, and found the next quest was to make 30 bitters. I was also able to whip those up and brought them to the very empty saloon. The wheat on the island farm was fully grown on day 254, and I planted cranberries in its stead. I also prepared 6 more quality sprinklers and planted smaller fields of melons, hops, pumpkins, fairy roses, grapes, and starfruits, then put down some decorative pathing. Now I have a full field of drink-making ingredients. Haley tasked me with making a pink cocktail, and Leah wanted one with berries. For Leah's request, I went with a fruity lemon smash, and for Haley, there were many pink cocktails to choose from, but I went with Think Pink. When I walked into the saloon, Emily told me that her stock was now fully expanded and offered me a drink on the house. Of course, I had to go with Young Love, seeing as it's pretty on brand for me. Haley was asleep and didn't want to share a drink in bed, but Leah was still awake and liked what I had made for her. I decided to go pick up another quest and went with Elliot's, called A Pirate's Life. He wanted a couple of rum drinks, so I put a few sugars into my brew stations before heading to bed. The rums were ready on day 255, and I made a raspberry stinger and a summer potluck punch. I found Haley in town and gave her the cocktail, then saw that the kids were also thirsty. Hey Leah, I assumed happiness started with an H, but I believe it actually starts with a U. After giving Elliot the drinks he had asked for, I obviously couldn't pass up the chance to talk to Harvey. Do you like Mexican food? 'Cause I want to wrap you up and make you my burrito. Taking a closer look at the kids' quests, I saw that Jazz wanted to be a pretend bartender and was asking for fruit syrup, fruit juice, and 2 tonic waters or club sodas. And Vincent wanted a drink named after a bug. I knew exactly which one he meant and whipped up a grasshopper. At this point, I would like to quickly mention that a few of the cocktail quests are buggy. I'll edit out most of the failed attempts since I was normally able to look at the mod files and figure it out that way. But I'm sure that the modders are working on it. I just wanted to give full transparency in case you download the mods for yourself. So for example, when I gave Jazz her ingredients, she took the tonic water as a present that she hated. At least Vincent was happy with what he got. Then I found a very special mission from Gus called Tall Tales to promote Emily's new cocktail bar and make drinks for 25 people. This would be the perfect opportunity to make special cocktails for everyone in town that's tailored to them and their personalities. So I spent the rest of the day making drinks and started handing out a few of them. Gus got a Black Forest because I feel like he enjoys sweets, and Pam received a Pink Flamingo, since I can definitely see her getting tipsy on it and dancing at a party. Day 256 began the way 255 had ended. Robin got a mango twister to help her stay cool while working on building upgrades. Demetrius got a berry breeze because I thought he would appreciate the precise balance of flavors. For Linus, I went with a picnicker's punch he could enjoy with his foraged meals outside. George got a harvest hayride, a simple whiskey drink I thought he would appreciate, and Evelyn got a lavender spritz because of her love for flowers. I gave the mayor a passion punch to put him in the mood for Marnie, and Kent needs to have a good time with a delicious sangria. Of course, I couldn't pass up the new quests on the special orders board. Maru's Strawberry Sensation tasked me to create a drink with strawberries in it, and Evelyn's quest, In Memory, was asking for a few cocktail ingredients to make a drink an old friend had always made for her. Then it was back to handing out cocktails. Marnie got a Spring Breeze to drink before taking care of her animals, Jody got a Cakewalk because she likes cake, and Caroline received a Garden Breeze, which is supposed to remind her of her greenhouse. Not only will Jas not take the club soda for the quest, it was also her birthday today, and since she hated her gift, she lost 1.5 hearts. Great, just great. I made a mixed berry tonic for Maru's quest, handed in all of the ingredients Evelyn had asked for, and couldn't help myself and took on 2 more special orders. Emily wanted some mocktail ingredients, and Alex was asking for a non-alcoholic drink with club soda and a cool name. That sounds very subjective, Alex. Blue Island Cooler has the word cool in it and fits the other criteria, but apparently he didn't want this one. Then I handed out the last drink of the day, giving Sandy a berry bubbly, since she seems like she would enjoy a good brunch with Emily. Evelyn sent me a letter in the mail on day 257, thanking me for the ingredients and inviting me to come have a glass with her. Of course I wouldn't say no to that, and when I got there, she told me it was a punch Grandpa had always made for her and George. How lovely. I found out that the drink with the cool name was a Coco Loco. Whatever you say, Alex. And I introduced him to an energizing mixed berry tonic, since today I wanted to surprise my lovers with my carefully curated drinks. Sam got a Fruity Fresca, since he's the most childlike of the bunch, and I thought he'd like something colorful with lots of fruit. And I handed Shane a Sweet Gem Spritzer, to show him how delicious non-alcoholic alternatives can be. I took a quick break to have a peek at the special orders board. Demetrius was looking for the ingredients for a permanent proper and a strawberry fajito, and his wife wanted a nice spritz. I gave Elliot a Jellies in the Moonlight for his love of the beach, and Harvey got a tropical sunset. I don't know why, but I just felt like it fit him. I took a quick break from my gifting to get Robin a lavender spritz and Demetrius the ingredients. Then the last of the boys, Sebastian, got an early sunrise, which reminded me of him on his motorcycle coming home in the morning. Then it was the girls' turn. Penny hated her permanent proper, which totally fits her, and Haley loved her Flower Queen, which totally fits her. Mara got a complex fruity berry sour, and Leah got a raspberry lemon drop, which is tangy and sweet. Emily enjoyed her Mango Tango, of which the description says it'll have you dancing in no time, and giving Abigail the spooky-looking Spirited Away was a no-brainer. I had successfully handed out drinks to all the villagers and treated myself to Evelyn's Farmer's Punch. Day 258 was a really lucky day, and I wanted to put my hot Java ring to good use, so into the Skull Caverns I went. You already know what a Skull Caverns run looks like, so on to day 259. Gus sent me a letter on day 259, thanking me for handing out the drinks and saying we would celebrate Emily's success in the saloon. Count me in! Caroline wanted me to make a lightning haze, a mocking mule, an early sunrise, a garden breeze, a wild mango cooler, and a beach sunrise, so she and Jody could enjoy them during their ladies' night. Here you go, Caroline. Hope you'll have a great time. Emily tasked me with getting her some cocktail ingredients, and Penny's sweetest syrup almost made me sad, since she wanted syrups not to make drinks, but puddings. Please rethink this, Penny. The meringue mushrooms on the island were fully grown, and I got 9 Gold Star ones for my harvest. This is what my stockpile of Gold Star forage looks like so far, 78 all in all. Master Forager, here I come. After taking care of my wine, I went to the saloon and was so happy to see everyone there enjoying their free round of drinks and celebrating Emily's success. It's really sad when these cutscenes are over and you're back to reality, where everyone's left and you're just stuck with people like Clint. Sveikskas. Lutsovianualu. I played Junimo Kart for another hour and beat Ghastly Galleon for the first time, making it to Red Hot Roller Coaster. Unfortunately, my nerves got to me and I died basically right away. But it wasn't just a one-off, and I beat the 4th level again, getting Glowshroom Grotto this time around. It actually went kind of decently, although I did eventually die. But I was so thrilled, I drank a cocktail and had to sit down and process what had just happened. I found out that Jas wanted a fruit, not another tonic water, and I was able to finish her quest on day 260. There were also 3 new ones waiting for me. Sam was looking for a tropical drink with mango or pineapple, Emily wanted some more cocktail ingredients, and I finally took on the Master Forager Challenge again, knowing I only had to collect a few more. I made Sam a mango tango and took the ingredients Emily requested out of my chests in the winery. I was definitely getting a little bit better at Junimo Kart every day, and today I was so fast on the Slippery Slopes level that I was able to skip the boss level for the first time. Although I did eventually die on Glowshroom Grotto, I still thought it was cool and really needed little milestones like this to stay motivated. On day 261, I hugged Crowis for good luck before heading straight to the saloon with Hugo to play more Junimo Kart. At this point, I was actually kind of obsessed with it, and had real-life dreams about it. After having played for 1.5 hours, I had a run where I was so close to making it to the last level, but died. Is it weird that I prefer the Gemsea Giant and Glowshroom Grotto over the alternatives? I took 2 more drink quests, one from Emily called A Memory of Summer, tasking me with making 6 drinks I assumed were jellies in the moonlight, and giving one to the person who tends the luau soup, who just has to be Marnie. Coincidentally, Marnie also had a quest called Fiesta to hand out 10 sangrias. They seemed simple enough, but the weird thing was that Marnie only accepted the jellies in the moonlight as a gift. Then I thought it might be referring to Lewis, but it also wasn't him. Who else could it be? I ignored it for now, instead making 10 sangrias and handing them out to people I met along the way. So, I'll be honest, I was stumped about who else could be the one who tends the summer soup and looked at the mod files again. Apparently, you have to give the drink to Demetrius, which is weird, but it might also just be a mistake. Because there's a second line with Marnie's name in it, but I don't really know anything about modding, so no clue. I handed in the other 5 to the saloon and finished the quest, then spent the day decorating the island farm, which I normally never do. The mushrooms were ready on the island farm again on day 263, and I counted 95 gold star forageables in my chest. So I harvested the mushrooms in my house as well, getting 2 more, and looked for more in Cindersap Forest and in town on my way to the luau. I also took Sandy's flower power from the special orders board, who was asking for a floral cocktail. At the luau, I put cheese into the soup, then spent some time with my bays. Hey Emily, you're pretty and I'm cute. Together we'd be pretty cute. Hey Sebastian, truth or date? Hey Shane, Cupid called. He told me to tell you that he needs my heart back. Hopefully this tasty soup will mend my friendship with Jas. Right before going to bed, I shipped all the gold star modded forage I had and was pretty sure I had finally conquered this quest. And I was right, as on day 264, I woke up to 100,000 gold in my journal and an especially cute trophy in the mail. At least the rewards were definitely worth all the time I put into this mission. After making a melon floral shrub for Sandy and giving it to her, I asked the Statue of Uncertainty to change my forage professions again, since I was tired of seeing those little arrows on my screen all the time. The pumpkins on the island were fully grown and I replaced them with pineapple seeds. While I was there, I did a tiny bit more decorating before heading to the saloon to play Junimo Kart. Nothing special happened, although it was fun to see how fast I could get through the slippery slopes. Kia ora gas, kotahi pia kua. I need this little pick-me-up. I warped back to the island to take another look at the perfection tracker and saw I was very close, but the cooking and crafting were the main things holding me back. I used the Lookup Anything mod to check out the missing cooking recipes, which I'm pretty sure are part of other mods, just like the Floral Scarecrow. You see, Wildflour makes lots of amazing mods, adding cool new stuff to the game. They're the one who made the mocktail, cocktail, coffee, and forage mods I'm using, but they have loads more. The way their special quests mod works is that it can tell which ones you have installed and only gives you special quests based on that, but it kind of seems like the cooking and crafting stuff I'm missing might be rewards you get from completing quests for other mods that I don't have installed. I wanted to see if I would still be able to 100% the cooking log and whipped up the last 4 drink recipes I hadn't made yet. The Winter Star, Secret Wood Slushy, Autumn Nights, and Young Love. But the tracker was still only at 92% cooked, so I was kind of worried about my chances at perfection. So, after spending a long time looking at the Special Orders mod, I was able to fix the recipes that weren't part of my mod collection on day 265, and was still missing one cooking recipe, but I knew that that was something I would be able to get as a reward in fall. As for the crafting recipe I'm missing, I would just have to hope that it's part of the Love Festival mod I have installed. It'll take place in winter, so I'll have to wait and see. After not making any headway on Junimo Cart, I spent the day decorating on the island farm and inside the house. I wanted it to look like the back wall is kind of open, so I used this landscape wallpaper and planted some grass to make it seem like a little backyard porch. The first round of summer star fruits were ready and were placed with more seeds on day 266. It was also a keg day, and apart from that, I only played an unimpressive round of Junimo Cart. Day 267, I had finished planting a variety of crops in garden pots in my basement, where I wanted a little garden with cocktail ingredients. I liked the idea of picking them and using them right away in drinks here at this little bar. I also decided to take Shane to the movies, where I got a couple of new things from the Crane game before watching Wumbus with him. He enjoyed the movie and his popcorn. Wumbus would now help Mtaguf in the cafe. That night, Chardonnay gave birth to a baby cow called Negroni, a true cocktail classic. On days 268, 269, and 270, I spent real-life hours playing Junimo Cart without making any significant progress. I was starting to become slightly frustrated, as on the one hand, I felt like I was getting better and better at the game, but on the other hand, I didn't really have anything to show for it, and still kept dying before making it to the final level, Sunset Speedway. Oftentimes even well before that. Other than that, I picked up the stone Junimo and gold Lewis statues and used them to decorate my farm. I put down decorations wherever I felt something was missing, and was happy with my results by the end of day 268. Day 269 was entirely dedicated to decorating the island farmhouse, and it actually came together quite quickly, considering how it normally takes me ages to just decorate a single room. I took Key's Let's Play Game Quest again on day 270 and rage quit Junimo Cart after 3.5 hours, when I got 48,000 points in Endless Mode, which was so close, but just not close enough. I thought a few karma points might help, so I went to Robin's and asked her to build a house for Pam and Penny. Then, I saw tiny glimpses of light at the end of the Junimo Cart tunnel on days 271 and 272. First, I got a perfect run through Crumble Caverns, meaning I collected every single coin and all the fruits without dying. That gave me access to the secret level that's littered with coins so you can rack up extra lives, although I'm ashamed to admit that I actually died once, losing one of them right away. A few runs later, I was on Red Hot Roller Coaster and so close to making it all the way through that I could see the arrow while I fell into the lava. Twice. That's okay though, because 1.5 hours later, I was back, made it through the finish line, and actually got to set foot on Sunset Speedway for the first time. My nerves got to me so badly that I died basically right away. Then, on day 272, I played on Endless Mode since I still had Key's Quest to conquer, and after another 45 minutes, I had finally beat Lewis' high score by 8,400 points. I did a happy dance, drank a celebratory beer at 7 in the morning, and tried to keep the momentum going on progress mode, but nothing extraordinary happened after that. Day 273, Robin had finished building Pam's and Penny's house, and of course I didn't want them to know that I had paid for it. They were very moved by my generosity, and I wanted to go check out the place, walking into a couple of cutscenes I had missed. Penny offered me her gross food, but I told her it was delicious to not hurt her feelings, and Pam was very unhappy with her potato juice. I knew you should have just asked for vodka. They were both looking cozy in their new domicile, and I was glad that they were doing well. I went straight back to Robin to ask her for the community upgrade, which set me back 300,000 G. That was fine though, because I was still way too rich for my own good. I was so wealthy, in fact, that I bought a statue of Endless Fortune just because I didn't have anything better to do with my money. I had also downloaded a new mod called Perfection Tweaker, because by this time I had found out that the Love Festival adds a crafting recipe, but only on accident, and the mod creator is planning on fixing it in their next update. They suggested I use Perfection Tweaker to still be able to get perfection, and I was really grateful for the suggestion, since I had no idea a mod like that existed. Now my perfection status reflects my true progress, 99%. since I need to get and make one more cooking recipe and ship one final thing. By day 274, I was consistently getting to the 5th level of Junimo Cart. It was basically a no-brainer at this point, but I would always die on Glowshroom Grotto, Red Hot Roller Coaster, or at the very beginning of the last level, Sunset Speedway. I had to take a break, so I visited Sam in his bed to ask him if he wanted to go to the movies with me, since I think he'll like Wumbus. How did I know? Pam sent me a letter for a new TV channel called Fibs, and I took a look at it, but luckily I don't have to catch any more fish. Then I hit a new small milestone on day 275. After making it through Glowshroom Grotto, which was a miracle in and of itself, I actually made it halfway through Sunset Speedway. I even had 7 lives at some point because I had collected another 100 coins, so I was kind of mad at myself for dying, but I had a celebratory beer anyway. After another unsuccessful half hour of Junimo Cart on day 276, I took a look at the new shortcuts Robin had built, and decided to pick up my starfruit wines, even though I didn't need the money. I put as many as I could into casks I had put haphazardly around the farm. I also wanted a new hat and decided on buying the bowler hat, since I feel it makes me look like a hipster bartender. Hey Elliot, I'm writing a book. A phone book to be precise, but I'm still missing your number. By this point in the playthrough, I had finished doing almost everything I was working towards, and just wanted to see the last modded quests in fall, go to the Love Festival, and achieve perfection. So I slept for the next 3 days. I woke up on the last day of summer, harvested the last starfruits, then sat on the springy duck thing while waiting for 12 PM to roll around to get the giant Junimo plushie. Hey Harvey, are you Australian? Because you meet all of my qualifications. I played Junimo Cart for a little while before hanging out at the saloon with Gus and Emily to wait for the Dance of the Moonlight Jellies to start. Hey Penny, I'm learning about important dates in history. Want to be one of them? Hey Emily, I'm not drunk, I'm just intoxicated by you. While watching the jellies dance across the screen, I was looking forward to the new season and new thirsty ventures. Day 281 was the first day of fall, and I planted a whole field of fairy rose seeds just because I thought flowers would be a nice addition to the farm. Hugo and I galloped straight to the special orders board where I found an apple a day from Harvey, who wants drinks with apple syrup, and a dream of fall from Emily, which was another little riddle. I had to figure out which drink is of the secret master of the forest and bring 5 to the saloon and 1 to the person who knows the forage of the land. As for Emily's quest, I assumed it was hinting at the secret wood slushy, and thought the forager she was talking about was Leah. She was already in bed and wouldn't take anything from me right now, so I'd come back tomorrow. By the way, I tried to finish Harvey's task, but no matter what I tried to give him, he wouldn't take it. I love that the Statue of Endless Fortune gives me coffee. On day 282, Leah only accepted the secret wood slushy as a gift. I handed in the 5 other ones to the saloon and thought some more about who the forager might be. Of course, how could I have forgotten Linus? It's so obvious. I played a bit more Junimo Cart and made it about halfway through Sunset Speedway. I will beat Junimo Cart someday, but not today. The latest quest on the special orders board was a very special one I had been waiting for with bated breath. Gus wanted me to bring him 12 pumpkin spice lattes, so I made the coffee bags, and once they were done, they were turned into lattes. Gus was happy with them and gave me a sizable 21,600 gold, but I knew I would get the real prize tomorrow. Ndewo Gus. Utubia biko. And I was right, as on day 283, Gus had sent me the final cooking recipe I needed, a dirty chai, which I made right away. So I was pretty sure I had now officially cooked all of the recipes, even though no achievement popped up on the screen. I found the Master Roaster Challenge to ship 100 gold quality coffee products on the special orders board. The only way I could think of making Gold Star coffee was with Key seasoning, so I went to go get as much as I could from Key. I made a gold quality espresso and dirty chai and shipped them both to test my theory. Afterwards, I asked Abigail to go to the movies with me and played the crane game until I had the movie poster for It Howls in the Rain. We watched it together and she loved it. After that, it was another unsuccessful hour of Junimo Cart. By the way, I take back everything I said about the Gemseed Giant and Glowshroom Grotto. They're way worse than Slomp Stomp and Red Hot Roller Coaster. On day 284, I was sad to see that the Gold Star coffees hadn't counted towards the Master Roaster Challenge. Krobus gave me a breakfast strange bun to cheer me up, then I tried putting a modded coffee into a cask, but it didn't work. The only other things I could think of was to ship a Gold Star coffee bean, even though I was pretty sure it was of no use, and to try having key seasoning in my pockets while making coffee drinks with the coffee brewer. But that also didn't work. I don't know, man. I woke up on day 285 to find out that, unsurprisingly, the Gold Star coffee bean didn't count towards the quest either, so it looks like I won't be getting the Master Roaster award, which is very sad. Let me know in the comments if there's an option you can think of that I didn't account for. There were no new quests to take on, so I just played another hour of Junimo Kart before heading back to bed. Day 286 was also just more Junimo Kart practice, and then, on day 287, I had been playing for another 2.5 hours, completed Crumble Caverns and Slippery Slopes deathless, and was fast enough to skip the boss level. So I went straight to Ghastly Galleon. I didn't get all the fruits, but it was fine because I still went into Red Hot Roller Coaster with 6 lives, which was more than enough to make it through to Sunset Speedway. I started choking right away and was getting confused about which platforms to jump on, just like always, but I decided to really focus and not psych myself out. And I would now like to just let the rest of this run play out in its entirety. I beat Junimo Kart. I did it, y'all. I actually couldn't believe it. Hugo celebrated with me and took me to the spot where I savored the moment and thought about how I wanted to celebrate this special day. I decided to go to the winery to make as many jumping Junimos as I could and handed them out to anyone I saw. Hey guys, guess what? I beat Junimo Kart. I know, crazy, right? While doing this, I found Pam in her new home praying to Yoba. That's a great idea, Pam. Yoba is definitely real and was with me in the saloon today. The last 2 jumping Junimos were for Krobus and me. Oh, Kroby, you've been here for so long, you should really have a more refined palate by now. Up until today, I had been stumped about what I wanted to do with the bottom room, but now I knew exactly what I wanted it to be. This was my progress after 3 hours of decorating, and I added a jumping Junimo to one of the tables just before passing out at 2 a.m. I found the coveted Junimo Kart arcade game in the mail on day 288 and immediately put it into my new gaming room. I also finally found a good use for this ugly blue trophy. I wanted more Junimo decorations, so I put down the big Junimo plush and went to the movies with Sebastian to get the other colors from the Crane game. Surprisingly, he didn't like licorice, but at least he enjoyed the horror movie. I finished putting down all of the decorations and really loved the way it turned out. After spending all those hours playing in the saloon, I felt very aimless. Siagas Eggshat Kirek. Maybe I'll try my hand at Journey of the Prairie King now. Nope, never mind. Then I slept for a whole week, only waking up on day 296 for the Stardew Valley Fair. Hugo and I admired the beautiful field of fairy roses on our farm before we galloped into town, where I showed off more of my cocktails, mocktails, and coffees. Hey Elliot, if you were a burger, you'd be a McDreamy. I got second place again and used the 500 star tokens to get the triple shot espresso. Days 297, 298, and 299 were all very similar. I took any new quests I could find on the special orders board and completed them as quickly as I could before heading back to bed. Shane was looking for ingredients to mix with his surplus of Jojo Colas to make yummy non-alcoholic beverages, and I thought that was great. Unfortunately, he wouldn't take the lime juice, and even after trying other things like whole limes and lemon juice, I had to accept that I wouldn't be able to help him with his thirsty mission and abandon that quest, even though it made me quite sad to leave him hanging like that. I decided to sleep through the last week of fall since at this point I felt like I had completed all of the quests that I could for this season and was just waiting for the highly anticipated Love Festival in winter and finally reaching perfection. I did wake up on the first day of winter to see if there was an interesting new quest. There was one called A Memory of Winter, tasking me with making 5 drinks that hold the memory of winter to the saloon and bringing one to the person who coordinates the winter festivities. I was very sure that meant I had to make 6 winter stars, and after handing in 5 to the saloon, I gave one to Lewis. While I was there, I was also able to retrieve the unfinished quest items from the Lost and Found box. It's a good thing these perfectly good drinks didn't go to waste. Day 310, the special orders board was already all out of new stuff, so I just went to bed. It was the same on day 311, but instead of sleeping right away, I took down the mushrooms growing on the island and planted some wheat instead, in preparation for the perfection celebration that would be coming very, very soon. Then it was time for the last big sleep, where I only got up on winter 11 to harvest the fully grown wheat. That's when I found a letter in my mailbox inviting me to the Love Festival, which I'm extremely excited for. I put the wheat into my kegs and couldn't wait for day 321. And then it finally arrived, the day I'd been waiting for, the day of the Love Festival. There was a letter in my mailbox telling me to give my love letter to someone. I wasn't quite sure how it worked, so I really hoped I'd be able to buy a letter at the festival. While waiting for the festivities to begin, I sat in my winery and reminisced about the last 3 thirsty years and how much fun they had been. Then I rode Hugo into town and was immediately greeted by this huge kitschy Cupid baby and rose petals floating through the air. It was perfect and I was thrilled. Emily asked me if I thought I would get a love letter. I mean, duh. The couples had really cute stories about being in love, except for Caroline, who felt quite abandoned by Pierre. The 12 apples of my eye talked about love in their own, slightly stereotypical but charming ways. For example, Elliot got quite sappy and inspired to write a new novel. Alex talked about how everyone would give him letters once he turned pro. Haley only wanted someone to give her one if they were well dressed, and Maru thought about using technology to get her way. I was happy to see I could buy 3 love letters from Pierre and also bought a rose bush, just for the fun of it. I was thinking about who to give my letters to when I kind of accidentally gave one to Shane, but that was fine. We were thirsty soulmates after all. I realized I couldn't give out more than one, so I talked to Lewis to get the show on the road. I actually laughed out loud to myself while I stood awkwardly between Marnie and Lewis and had bachelor after bachelorette come up to me to give me their letters. First, Emily gave me corn, then Sam gave me a pizza. Elliot gave me potato seeds, Maru just straight up gave me money, just like her brother, and Leah gave me an emerald. Then, all of a sudden, I was standing outside my door with Sam's pizza above my head. I still had the 3 love letters in my pockets, so I shipped one of them, which was the last thing needed for perfection. I put a second one on the bar as a little keepsake and gave the last one to Krobus. He said he greatly appreciated that I didn't give him my love letter and looked really sad. I'm so sorry, bestie. I didn't know I could give you one before now. Mark your calendars, because day 323 was officially the day I achieved perfection on Fizzy Farm. I came outside to parrots flying overhead and felt great pride while Hugo and I made our way to the summit, where Lewis was waiting for us. Krobus was also there, having the time of his life, and I happily watched all of the bachelors and bachelorettes walk past. Grandpa and Mr. Key were also satisfied with my progress, and after looking out over the valley for a bit, I went to collect my self-brewed beers and 3 mocktails for my thirsty perfection celebration. It's last call, and everyone gets a very last drink from Fizzy Farm. I would like to take this time to say a toast. It's a special one from the infamous Clover Club, written over 100 years ago. Here's to a long life and a merry one, a quick death and a happy one, a good girl and a pretty one, a cold bottle and another one. Say why did time, his glass sublime, fill up with sand unsightly, when wine he knew runs brisker through, and sparkles far more brightly. Paul E. Lowe, Drinks as They Are Mixed, 1904. Gus and I thank you so much for watching. I truly hope you have an amazing day and can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.